The Rewatchables is brought to you by the Ringer Podcast Network. You can find Amanda Dobbins on The Big Picture. Dramatic return to you for the Rewatchables.
I'm incredibly excited.
I was, you have 2 kids now. And you're busy, and I was trying to ease you back, but now we get you back for stuff.
You've been very
You've been on
respectful.
in like a year and a half.
I know, but I'm back, and I have to tell you, in terms of like returning to the real world,
this is like a real I'm back
world of adults. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Joanna Robinson is here as well.
Hello.
You don't live here, but every time you're here, I try to grab you for
It's
Rewatchables
true.
now.
And it's like a great track record of movies that you've had me cover.
So, Working Girl.
I can't believe it.
Mentioned it a couple weeks ago to you and Mallory.
Yeah.
When we were doing a Rewatchables. And I was like, we should do Working Girl. And Mallory, who you've known now for how long?
10 years.
Said, I cannot do that. I cannot take that from Amanda. Give my spot to Amanda. And I was like, you're right. Amanda has always said Working Girl is the #1 movie I would ever want to do in the Rewatchables.
I've been waiting.
It's my bad for forgetting that. And now we're going to do Working Girl. Let's run the trailer and then we'll go.
Do me a favor, be me. Tess, be my secretary.
He wants to give her a chance.
Hold all calls, Miss McGill. Maybe I just don't like you.
Her double-crossing boss
I consider us a team, Tess.
doesn't.
This woman is my secretary.
But this working girl is going to make it on her own. You are amazing. Harrison Ford, Sigourney Weaver, and Melanie Griffith.
What's going on in there? She's dusting.
Working Girl, rated R. Starts Wednesday, December 21st at a theater near you.
This episode of The Rewatchables is presented to you by Amazon Prime. Prime is more than just fast delivery. It's also where you can dive deep into your favorite movie genres with Prime Video and get what you need fast to fuel your obsession. You also, if you watch a movie on Amazon Prime, you can click down and see the actors in each scene for a lot of the movies, which is great. Snacks for movie night, a new book on film theory. It's all there too on Amazon Prime. Whatever it is, Prime helps you get more out of whatever passions you're into or getting into. Head to Amazon.com/Prime and follow your obsession wherever it goes. All right, your favorite movie ever, Amanda. Why?
Perfect romantic comedy, but more than a romantic comedy. It is a cultural artifact as well as a, Cinderella story. Great cast. Got a Harrison Ford take for later that I don't want to spoil, but very important. One of the great movie songs, if not the great movie song of... Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Listen, it's in the trailer, right? We've already heard it, but incredible stuff.
The first time when I watched it twice in 4 days, and the first time, and I was like, "Do I like this song?" And then then
it plays just 9 times
and
in
then
the movies.
Doing, do the little where she's just kind of humming it a couple times.
Right.
You're like, "All right,
they do it on the organ, the symphony,
all the different iterations.
The score is great. The score is wonderful.
Yeah.
And also, I was born a few years before this movie came out. So in some ways, this is how I understand the 80s, and how I understand my parents, for better and for worse. So just landmark, in my opinion.
Joanna.
I love this film so much. I feel like this is a top 5 80s movie.
Yeah.
Like if you're like, what was the 80s? Let's put it in a time capsule for the aliens. Working Girl is in there. It has to be.
That's pretty good. That would be an interesting conversation, what those 5 movies would be. I kind of feel like The Breakfast Club should be one of the 5.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Let's see.
Die Hard. The first Die Hard.
The first Die Hard.
Over like Ghostbusters?
Would you put Fatal Attraction in there? I'm trying to think of movies that just seem distinctly 80s.
Let's see.
Top Gun, I think, would have to be in the running.
Sure.
I don't know.
There's a lot.
Yeah, but if it can only be 5, this should be a podcast. This should be an entire podcast. What's the 5 movie time capsule for each decade?
But it would have to be these movies represent the 80s in the most 80s ways possible.
And so the way that the Working Girl represents, I'm just like only a few years older than you, and growing up rewatching all of these 80s movies on TNT or TBS or whatever it was, I was like, oh, every movie is set at Wall Street. Like that was the impression we got, that every single movie was about Wall Street. That was the goal. That was the aim.
Everyone was in New York trying to
trading
and trading and arbitrage, which I still don't know what it is.
Arbitrage.
Forgot to Google that before this podcast.
Bob from Arbitrage.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what arbitrage is either.
I have it under questions that can never not be answered.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
What is arbitrage?
No idea.
I'll never know.
Well, there's also, and this is kind of the tail end of there's so many things going on with this movie, but this kind of greed is good era
Yeah.
where it's like, you just got to work your ass off. And if you get, then you'll have money and maybe you'll be able to ride in a limo. And it's just the 80s were very innocent about all that stuff. That was one of the things that jumped out to me is like, oh, this premise probably isn't the same kind of premise in 2025 necessarily.
Yeah, I don't know that like the highest achievement is your office and in a warren of all these other offices, if that's like the gold ring, the brass ring that you want right now. But in the late 80s, it was.
And it was a zero-sum game. You were getting it at the expense of somebody else. All right, so I have, well, first of all, Rolling Stone wrote this in 1989, which I thought was perfect when they did a very bizarre Melanie Griffith feature.
Well, sure.
And I cannot
I
wait
listen.
to talk about her.
Has there ever been like an unbizarre Melanie Griffith feature? Is my question.
Wow. Rolling Stone writes, Working Girl is the story of a secretary fighting an egomaniacal boss for credit on an idea. Griffith stars as the secretary, and she too is fighting for credit, though the character she plays in almost every scene, Griffith's billing is third behind Sigourney Weaver, the boss, and then Harrison Ford.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting that she's not the star of the movie.
Yeah.
Because she seems like a massive star now. But at the time, it seemed risky to even build a movie around her.
She had just done Something Wild, right?
Yes.
But and Body Double, but they weren't. Those weren't big movies.
No, well, this is what makes her forever a star.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I can't remember other movies where somebody's clearly the star and they're like, "Nah, we got to put you third because we need these other two for the poster," which kind of weirdly mirrors the movie.
That's so interesting. I think it's definitely happened before. Usually, maybe second builds over a star that has an ego or something like that. But third build is under Sigourney Weaver, because Harrison Ford's her co-lead, but Sigourney Weaver is definitely in supporting.
But she was a massive star from Aliens at that point.
It's not even the and. You know, she doesn't even like get the end, like the bumper or introducing. Yeah, she's not being introduced. She's been working for a while. Yeah, just absolutely third.
Well, I can't wait to talk about her. All right, here's what I wrote down. There's 4 movies going on at the same time. We mentioned the greed is the New York aspirational money, all that stuff that's in there. There's this 70s, 80s thing that they don't really do anymore in movies where the trying not to get caught in an elaborate lie was basically half of the TV shows in the 70s. And then a lot of movies where it's like, Joanna's pretending to be the head of Spotify.
Right. Oh, well, that's like the TV show Younger, essentially.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. All of which is just...
Craig thinks Joanna's running Spotify. She's actually not. But now they're in the same room, and the actual head of Spotify is there, and she's got to duck out.
I feel like I could get away with it, honestly.
Yeah, but there's no Google. So
Right.
No, there's
you can kind of make up whatever you want.
Right.
So you have that. You have the Pretty Woman Cinderella idea. It's so the Pretty Woman parallels with this movie. It kind of makes me look down on Pretty Woman a little bit. It openly steals shit from this movie.
Absolutely.
I think.
Yeah.
And then the last piece is the female empowerment workplace comedy stuff that is like for the 80s, because you have baby boom here too. This is
broadcast news in a slightly different way.
This is becoming an era of like professional women. What an interesting time for something.
Fatal Attraction is also like the reverse of it, right? You know, like she's professional at the expense of a beautiful home in the country.
But you're missing the rom and the com, though.
Well, no, and obviously the rom-com.
Yeah.
But which one out of all of those, what's your favorite?
The yuppie cinema of the late 80s, and particularly the women, is fascinating to me. I love all of those movies. It is really fascinating to watch them now and be like, oh, so this is how I learned how I was like supposed to go to work and supposed to dress, because for our age it was, handed down to you like, okay, this is what a working woman looks like. This is what it is to be a professional. You're supposed to like, can you have it all? Should you balance your career? Should you accept the random child that you inherited from an unknown location?
Have you done a baby boom rewatchables, or is that what we're pitching right now?
I mean, it is really fascinating.
Bright Lights, Big City was another one. There's a bunch of these. Yeah. My mom's old. So she talks about this all the time when she gets mad at younger generations. And she's just like, we just knew how to navigate stuff in my day. If we had people who were just jerks or they were hitting on you, just learned how to deal with them.
You just write they're a sleazoid on the ticker.
You just kind of had your ways, almost like your nuclear defense system
of dealing with it.
And one of the interesting things about rewatching this movie is the first 20 minutes is basically all about, like, she's just in this world. Weird shit's going on.
Mhm.
They're trying to set her up with Kevin Spacey. And she's like,
Right.
is he going to just try to get me in a date? And the irony of it being Kevin Spacey was pretty
Yeah.
great. But he's like, yeah, I got my hotel room. And she's just like, oh, man. She ends up getting out of the car. And it's just like, that was a Tuesday.
Right.
Now that would be like the most traumatic thing that happened to somebody. But back then, that was just kind of what the 80s were like.
Right.
Pretty crazy.
She has that scene with Alec Baldwin of when she's talking about like how great it is to be working for a woman, and there's none of that like
Yeah.
chasing around the desk crap. And it's just matter of fact. Exactly.
Right. And she's like, I know you hate when I say stuff like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
but it's kind of nice to not have my ass slapped.
Yeah.
But I can't think of that many movies in the 80s that even, I don't know, casually
9 to 5
did this stuff.
is another one.
9 to 5. That was
Yeah.
the whole theme of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie's insane.
It is true.
I think I was 10 or 11 when that came out.
Were
The
you?
whole point of that movie is like,
Did you see it when you were 10 or 11?
I saw it in the theater.
That's amazing.
Did you
So-
see this in the theater?
I did.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I mean, 87 was an all-time movie
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
There's- Or 87, 88, those 2 years of
Mhm.
just big stars, cool movies. I'm trying to remember if it was perceived as a Harrison Ford movie or a Sigourney Weaver, because they were both really big stars.
Yeah.
I think it was probably a bigger deal that Sigourney Weaver was in it because the Aliens was such like a massive movie.
I wonder if it was a big deal that Indiana Jones was doing sort of like a romantic comedy.
His first rom-com.
Yeah. So an Indiana Jones movie or a Harrison Ford movie until you see it, and then it's a Melanie Griffith movie.
Yeah, he doesn't show up for at least 30 minutes.
I have
We're
the
talking about him in a
timestamp.
second. We got to talk about Melanie.
Okay.
Holy mackerel. What a performance.
This is it.
I still think Body Double is my number one Melanie Griffith.
Really?
Oh, she's so good in that movie. And she just comes in
This is
120 miles an hour.
even though she is Hollywood royalty and she wasn't, born a working girl from Staten Island,
Right.
this seems like her. This just seems like who Melanie Griffith is. And I can't separate her from Tess, having seen her in like any number of other things.
She's also it's an amazing performance because it's not over the top. It's not she's not going to win the overacting award. Like she is soft
She
spoken.
does very like that.
Yeah. But she's still, she's determined. She's going to get what she wants. But I always think it's really interesting when people take these really big roles. The movie hangs around her and they recede a little and they don't always raise their voice. Meryl Streep and Devil Wears Prada being the other one. It's not an obvious choice. And she's great in it.
That's another movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
There's
DNA.
a lot of Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
It's like there's a reason all my favorite,
Well, so this
movies are
movie's
what they are.
38 years old now. And it's just sprinkling DNA over all these beloved movies over the next 40 years. But those were Pretty Woman and Devil Wears Prada were the two that I was like, oh yeah. You guys just watch this one over and over again and tried to pull stuff. Melanie Griffith.
We're going to talk about it now?
Let's talk about Tess first.
Okay.
Perfect character.
Yeah.
Like just like little details that are great. Like when she shows up in the office and she takes her shoes off and replaces them. It's like, okay, I get the hair is like a disaster. The outfit's not great. The makeover or some sort of thing is happening at some point. She's like slightly trashy, but not, you know what I mean? Like you could see her at a bar at 2 a.m, probably.
She fits in both. She figures out a way to fit in both worlds.
Well, yeah, but they're doing like the class version of she takes off the glasses and like, OMG, she's beautiful.
Right.
She was obviously always beautiful, but I like that the makeover montage is just like a haircut. It's not like it's like she takes off her bangles in one scene and like she cuts her hair in another scene, and that's
also that
kind of
Joan
it.
Cusack is capable of that kind of layering on such short notice.
It's like Floby level.
Sure, yeah, it's
feathering.
really impressive.
Really
second
good.
career there.
So she snaps, all of a sudden when she's going to pretend to be the boss.
Yeah.
Fixes her hair.
Yeah.
Slightly different outfit, changes the makeup, and all of a sudden looks like a absolute assassin.
Yeah.
But it's just, I thought it's a totally authentic. I completely believe the character.
Yeah.
I'm in on all her decisions. I actually believe she can navigate this world.
Yeah.
And she's using like her
street
sex
smarts.
appeal and street smarts the right way.
Yes.
And the guys are kind of that one scene when she walks in and it's just a whole room of guys. And she
He
does
takes
like
the breath.
everything
Yeah.
about it. It's just really good. I'm actually surprised she didn't win the best actress. I understand why, because the Jodie Foster and The Accused, that was such like
Right.
a big part. It was like a big thing for her. People had a whole history with her. But I don't know, if you watch those two performances side by side, I actually think this one might be harder in some
especially
ways.
since Jodie's about to win again. I always like when you sort of relitigate the Oscars, I'm just like, well,
Would you rather give her the Silence of the Lambs? or-
yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a harder part because I don't know who else could have played the part.
There's a whole roster, which we'll talk about later, but something that they talked about inside of the casting is they didn't want anyone who was like too obviously the most beautiful woman in the
Right.
world.
See, your beloved. Sorry to step on,
Yeah.
casting what ifs, but Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Can't work.
Yeah.
Right. They were like, she's
Can't do
too beautiful.
You just don't buy it
You
when she's sitting
couldn't
there.
like watch her bloom into something because she's pre-bloomed. So, Melanie Griffith is like the perfect, she's so beautiful, but with the hair and the bangles and all this sort of stuff like that, you can see how people would overlook her or use her or whatever it is that they're doing at the
There's some
beginning.
baggage that she brings in real life
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
in the movie.
Yes.
That is perfect. It's like she just turned 30. She's slightly older than Sigourney Weaver, and she just looks like there's probably been a couple mistakes in the past, and now she's trying to get her shit
Right.
together
There,
that I don't know if Michelle Pfeiffer would bring.
No, Michelle Pfeiffer has it, is pitch perfect, the most beautiful person, and there's no vulnerability to her. Or if,
No.
if there is, it's like a different
Things
a-
have
it's a
worked out for
different
her
thing.
since
Yeah,
she was
yeah,
4 years
exactly.
old.
Like, I can almost see it with Michelle Pfeiffer with like Married to the Mob or the Fabulous Baker Boys. Like there's something in those characters that is almost,
Yeah, but she's having
there.
fun doing that.
I guess, but there
I
is.
I mean,
guess.
Fabulous Baker Boys, the
Yeah.
most important performance
Sure.
by an actress
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
history of
Yeah,
movies.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't done that one on the
Do we get to
rewatches
talk
yet.
about Melanie Griffith's personal baggage right now, or should we do it later?
Well,
It's pretty well documented.
there's a lot of stuff going on here. In her Wikipedia,
Yeah.
there's a section for spouses.
Oh,
Sure.
Don Johnson, married 1976, divorced 1976. By the way, she was like 15.
Right.
Don Johnson again, married 1989, divorced 1996. That's interesting. The double marriage to the same person is a classic
Yeah.
Hollywood thing that I don't think happens in real life. Stephen Bauer, married 1981, divorced 1989. I have a feeling that they probably had some fun. And then Antonio Banderas from 96 to 2015. She was married to Don Johnson, Stephen Bauer, and Antonio Banderas.
Mhm.
Yeah. An assassin.
What a trifecta.
Yeah.
Three of the greats. She had coke and alcohol stuff for
Yeah.
really
And
since she was like a teenager.
While she was making this movie.
And you can see it
Yeah.
in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have all talked about this, but at some point they even had to shut down production because she was under substance abuse. And she
So
has said,
I didn't know some of this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know
Yeah.
that they made her pay. Mike Nichols was so mad he
Yeah.
made her pay for
Yeah.
the whole day's shoot.
Right.
And
Yeah.
stuff like that.
but you can. Part of the reason that she works is her face is sometimes
Yeah, a
like a
little
little
bloated.
puffy
Yeah.
and a little something, especially in some of the early test scenes. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, it's
I-
not like she. It's
Yeah.
not. She looks like she had like a really rough
She's-
night the night
Yeah,
before,
yeah, yeah.
kind of bloated.
she was
Yeah.
carousing with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Living her life.
So she ends up getting, they say, clean after the movie, but some of the stuff was, Griffith said it was the late 80s. There was a lot going on party-wise in New York. There was a lot of cocaine. There was a lot of temptation.
mm-hmm.
One of the reasons this movie is rewatchable is because it's fascinating to see her scene by scene. You'd be
Yes.
like, ooh.
Yeah.
That
I
was
think
a
that
tough
was
night.
a rough
Yeah.
night because the TVs are better, the HD is better, and you can
Yeah.
really sit. There's a couple scenes where she's just got like completely red eyes for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
and
But it just like works.
I dunked my face in a bowl of ice water this morning, inspired by Melanie Griffith. I was like, I
You're
just
like, I'm
can't,
going to talk about her puffiness. I need to depuff myself. Yeah, come correct.
they said she'd be out till 4:30 in the morning, and they would have like a 6 o'clock call time,
Mhm.
Yeah. It's
and
tough.
she would just be flying. So they finally had to shut down one of them, but it really sounded like
It was tough.
not great.
Yeah.
I was watching a Harrison Ford interview that he did in promotion of this, and they were asking if she was easy to work with or hard. And he was like, well, I just let everyone do what they do. She's very sensitive, easy to access. And I was like, there you go. He talked right around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 80s were amazing is always the lesson in the rewatchables. It was just, there's no decade like it.
There's a lot of that in the movie also. There is cocaine, there are muscle relaxers, there's Valium.
Dim
there's
sum.
a lot of, dim sum.
Yeah.
A lot of booze. Like,
Yeah.
it's full 80s in the text of the
100%.
movie.
Yeah.
Seems fun.
I like the era where it's like 6:30 and people just on the set and people are like, where's Melanie?
Yeah.
There's no cell phones. You have no idea, like, where is she? I don't know. We're filming. We're getting this. The sun's coming up soon. And then she like comes in, probably from some whatever, but that's how they did it. It turns out to be the greatest thing that ever happened to her career. Although if you look at her IMDb, this is probably the peak in Pacific Heights. And
Yeah.
This
And
is
it
it.
starts
This is,
to-
I mean,
This
this
is
is
it.
it. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do love Pacific Heights.
Me
But
too.
this is the peak. So she went in rehab 3 weeks after filming and then got back together with Don Johnson, my guy.
I was pregnant with Dakota for the Oscars that year.
Yeah.
Ends up having Dakota Fanning.
Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Why did I say Dakota Fanning? Because I'm
yeah.
old. It's only 9:30 in the morning. Ends up having Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
But Don Johnson is on Miami Vice. This is the ponytail year
Oh yeah.
Mm.
when he gets amnesia as Sonny Crockett
Sure, yeah,
and thinks he's a hitman.
I was
And they
looking
have the
at
3-episode arc where he's just a hitman.
All culture starts
He
here.
shoots tubs.
I was looking at the Oscar photos from that year, and his hair is just like down past his shoulders,
It's
like waving.
Amazing. It was an amazing reconciliation.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of it is, well, they were once married before when he was 22 and she was 14. It's like, what?
Yeah.
14?
It's not good.
It's great.
So
Fine.
you think the
70s
80s
were
were the
different, yeah.
70s were like a whole other level. But yeah, she's pretty legendary. She was in Night Moves with Gene Hackman. I think that was 1975. A Tubi classic.
Sure.
You'll see it on Tubi all the time. And she has nude scenes in that. And she's like 13 or 14
Oh, yeah.
in that.
Right,
It's just
yeah.
like, just a different era.
She's talked about her
Yeah.
childhood.
Right.
Yeah.
I
would say
recently-
exploited was probably a decent word
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
use, I would say.
I saw Drowning Pool recently for the first time with Paul Newman, where she's like a 15-year-old seductress. Really, she's really, really good in it, and also like has chemistry with Paul Newman, who's definitely in his 50s at that point.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, it works out.
She plays a hitchhiker in the Robbie Benson basketball classic One-on-One,
Sure, yeah.
a movie I've seen over 100 times. And he picks her up and then she steals money from him. But she's basically just for 5 straight years, either a hooker
Yeah.
or some sort of trying to steal from somebody, or she's like a street person, or she's a drug addict.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of who she became. And that's so when she does Body Double, that's the first time like a real director's like, no, there's something more here.
Yeah.
And then
Though
that
in Body
leads
Double,
to-
it's not like she's wearing all of her clothes.
no,
you know?
she plays a porn star.
Exactly.
She plays Holly Body.
And what I think is wild about this movie is like, yeah, this is the least sort of like Lolita seductress she is, and she still is more than your stereotypical rom-com lead. Like Meg Ryan couldn't do this.
No.
You know.
Well, you know, one of the reasons I was thinking about this, because it's a great point. She's very comfortable. Like she's in a bra and panties like 3-4 different times in this movie where she's just like getting
Or
dressed.
topless.
She
vacuuming.
vacuums topless.
And
Yeah.
it's not like, sometimes there's not great camera angles of her and she just doesn't care. Like
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
very kind of flat. And I don't know if a lot of, like Julia Roberts, I don't think would have been, oh, I'm just going to get dressed in 3 different scenes.
actually
Meg
really-
Ryan wouldn't have done it.
I really love that scene where she's just sort of like kind of awkwardly bending over, fastening the garters. And Alec Baldwin, who's reading like Motor Trend
Right.
magazine, is
Right.
like, you look amazing.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah.
And she does the same thing with Joan Cusack when they're trying
Right.
the different
Yeah.
outfits.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She's very comfortable on screen, which
Yeah.
there's something about her in everything she's in where you're like, I'm kind of rooting for her. I don't know why.
Yes.
Pacific Heights being the key.
Well,
She's an
sure.
evil tenant. She's got to like get rid of that guy.
I have a lot of questions about Pacific Heights. You haven't done that yet on Rewatchables, right?
We're gonna have. It might not even be from Hell Month. It might be from Hell Summer.
Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
some
Sounds
of
right.
the legal and landlord arrangements there.
Yeah, you're
You
just
know,
not allowed
I'd like to go into the paperwork
pile
on
drive
that.
into
Yeah.
your thing.
Yeah.
So we have her. We have Sigourney Weaver, who her mid-80s looks like this: Ghostbusters, Aliens, Gorillas in the Mist, Working Girl, and Ghostbusters 2. Basically all in a row, and each part's different. This is a really weird Sigourney Weaver in a good way performance, where she's just. I don't.
Nancy
This is like
Kerrigan?
a character that would not exist in a movie anymore.
True.
How do you mean?
Just like super kind of heat checky, pompous. I use my sex appeal. I'm just lying in bed in lingerie with 10 people in a hospital bed around me, and
In
she's
general,
just going for it.
The lingerie in this movie is of a time, you know?
No question.
Like it's like they're all really, really invested in it. Like thigh highs, I just don't think are a part of the wardrobe in that way anymore. She's really good at it. And in another performance where she is like obnoxious and unlikable, but like all under a chill, there's like an iciness, and it's not big
It's human
until she comes in like with the crutches and is like making a whole scene and faints.
Well, that's what's interesting. Is
Yeah.
she ramps it up in the second half of the movie, and it doesn't feel like it's somebody
I feel
trying to
like-
overreact.
I feel like this character still exists, and this character will always exist, which is just sort of like the woman who was born pretty and extremely rich
Yeah.
and knows how to work every room.
Yeah.
And you're and will pretend to give you a hand up and then stab you in the back.
Right.
And it's kind of annoying. Like if you put Kathleen Turner in this role in the mid 80s, I'm not convinced Harrison Ford's going to walk away from it.
Oh,
In this case-
I thought you were going to say, but it's also
My
like a little too
In this
big.
case, she's
and
a little
too camp.
annoying, and I can see why he's like, God, I got to get.
I'm almost like, why was Jack with her for long enough that she thought they were going to get married?
Well,
Yeah.
timelines here, you know, are a little confusing.
Yeah.
What's your Sigourney Weaver relationship? She checks a lot of your boxes.
How so?
A lot of different
Oh,
types of movies
genre
that you're
stuff.
into. Yeah, a lot of genres.
My main association is Ghostbusters. That's my Sigourney Weaver association.
What's interesting about her, she doesn't, like, I don't know who the 2025 Sigourney Weaver is. She was kind of a one-on-one, but nobody realized it at the time. The different types of movies she was in.
I think, like, your Elizabeth Debicki. What's so interesting about this is that the screenwriter said that her role was originally written as a man, which is true for her role in Alien as well. And so the fact that they're like, let's get Sigourney to play the role that we thought we were writing for a man, but let's put a woman in it. So that was sort of like a niche for Sigourney Weaver for a little while.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre because she's so like beautiful and sexual and all this sort of stuff like that. But they were just sort of like, there's something about her energy that feels like it could just slide. We didn't change how we wrote the role. We just,
I mean, they have to change some plot points. Yeah.
The Jack stuff. Yeah. But
And
like,
and it does become more the fact that it's two women against each other.
definitely matters.
You
Yeah.
rattled Amanda just suggesting they would have changed anything about Working Girl. She was like,
She's
"What?
perfect
What's
at
going
this.
on?"
Sigourney Working Girl into Dave. Very formative.
So I want to talk
childhood
about
for
that
me.
because you have her in Alien and Aliens,
Yeah.
which is like this distinct, crazy action hero role,
Mhm.
right? That's like
Mm-hmm.
only a couple people could have done that. Then you have this Working Girl character, and then she's also the first lady.
And mean.
Just like three completely different. And I actually like her the most in Dave. I think that's my favorite Sigourney Weaver, other than Alien and Aliens.
The Dave and the Working Girl, it's someone who is very, very standoffish. And, you know, I guess they track opposite, where in Dave, you got to wear her down. And so she'll be doing harmony, you know, for the cop when they get pulled over. and in Working Girl, yeah, which is just, it's really funny. She's really good.
She is.
And in Working Girl, she's like sort of charming and weird about the bunny, but then her true layers are revealed. But both times.
So do you like villain Sigourney, or are you like Ice Queen Sigourney,
I like
or you
Ice
like
Queen.
action hero?
Yeah, Ice
I
Queen
like-
Sigourney is
but
So
really
like
good.
Ice Storm Sigourney is another one.
Yeah,
that I like
yeah.
that.
But like, yeah, she's so like patrician in this versus an alien. She's a space trucker. Like, I think that's
But there's a steeliness to all of them.
Yeah. I like Sigourney Weaver.
She's great.
Not a hot take. She's one of the most successful actors of the 80s.
You got an Oscar
Yeah.
from Craig
Yeah.
for your bravery.
As a fan, there's a reason she was in a lot of big movies.
I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
She's still great. I mean, you know, she's blue in Avatar or whatever. I don't remember what's going on
She's
there.
playing
but I'm
like
always,
a teenager in Avatar.
Oh, and like
It's, you
also
know,
a whale or something.
Yeah,
that was
a lot
sort of
happening.
moving. I don't remember.
Also, for people in my generation, Holes. That's how we were introduced to Sigourney Weaver.
you know what? I just
interesting.
learned about Holes last week.
Oh my God.
It's formative
It's
for you guys.
formative, yeah.
Maybe one of the most formative movies for my
Okay.
generation.
One thing with her, she's tall.
Yeah.
And it's like I think she's like 5'11".
I'm
Maybe
not
even
Joanna
6
tall,
feet.
but this is the tall woman like consortium over here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm taller. Listen, you just made a face like I don't compete, and I don't compete
No,
with you.
I welcome you.
Yeah, thank you. But we like tall women.
We have Joanna
The
in the
internet has
sneaky
it
tall.
6 feet.
Yeah,
Oscars.
yeah.
6 feet. Sigourney.
Yeah. the Chuck Klosterman All-Stars of Sneaky Tall.
Yeah,
And this is why
Chuck's
it's
like a solid
believable when
6'3".
she
Yeah.
lands that basket in Alien Resurrection.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's believable action hero. Probably hard to cast in certain movies because, like, you can't put her with Tom Cruise.
Right. In the 80s,
guy's
that
gotta
is
be
the
like
issue.
5'10" and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of guys, our guy Harrison Ford.
It's really,
As we know, our really good friend Mallory Rubin loves Harrison Ford more than I'm going to give that to her. Anyone else on this planet. She thinks the most attractive Harrison Ford has ever been is in Witness, canonically. This is peak Harrison Ford.
This is my hottest take in honor of Mallory
Do
Rubin.
it.
That
Bang
was
it out now.
my and also in honor of Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford. No, he could not. This is the hottest he's ever been.
This is the hottest he's ever been.
Like, keep your Han Solo, keep your Indy. I mean, The Witness, it's tough. And Mallory did give me her spot. And so I feel bad. And the Sam Cooke is powerful.
No, she don't feel bad.
She loves working
Don't feel
girl.
bad.
She does.
She's here in spirit.
Love working girl.
What is the like?
And we're doing Witness for her, and she can do Harrison Ford for an hour. Joanna and I are horrified.
Yeah.
Inside of the hottest he's ever been inside of a movie.
Right.
What's the hottest moment for Harrison Ford inside of this movie?
Well, it's a little obvious, but when he's changing his shirt and then kind of, the audience is cheering, and he's also I like that he takes this role. It's a nothing role. He's just there to like be handsome and support her, and he does it with such charm and is like, sure, I'll just do whatever you need. And that scene where he's just like, okay, I guess I'll get shirtless and, make fun of myself and let a office of women clap for me. I find that appealing.
The shirtless scene is very good. I see that, and I will raise you a bit of tzatziki on the corner of his mouth, being emotionally vulnerable about how he needs this trade.
Yeah.
He needs this.
No, that's true. He is a little more open. He's a little goofy in this. There's like almost a little Jimmy Stewart in him.
Exactly.
Which I wouldn't say typically is my type. So I guess I gravitate towards the slightly more, macho, asshole version of him. Like, I promised myself when we met, we'd drink tequila is a line that would work on me 10 out of 10 times.
Such a good line.
Yeah.
I have a question.
He's 45 when they filmed this.
Looks incredible.
I have heard conflicting reports. So a couple years ago, I read a Harrison Ford biography where they talked about this movie, and his initial response to being offered this role was, I don't want to take this role. It's her picture. Why would I take this role? It's her movie. It wouldn't be my movie. And that the way it was depicted in that book, they then give the role to Alec Baldwin.
Right.
And then he goes, actually, I want the movie. And then they bump Alec Baldwin down.
That is true.
The other story I've heard is that it was a budgetary
stepped on casting
thing.
what ifs, but it's fine.
Well, and also all the Mike Nichols stuff. We haven't even tried, this is directed.
Mike Nichols is
is
doing
he
that
next?
Yeah.
But that Nichols did want Baldwin, and then the studio was like,
we need
Melanie
a star.
Griffith and Alec Baldwin aren't enough names.
Yeah.
So
You guys are stomping over casting.
sorry,
No, it's
I'm
too
so
late now.
sorry. I'm
It's too
so
late. We
sorry.
did it.
No, the casting motive.
I know,
and
I did my
so
hottest
deep.
take already.
Baldwin had it.
Yeah.
And then they called him
and got
and
demoted
they said,
to Nick.
hey, bad news.
But guess what? He's great as Nick.
He's fine.
Really,
He's the
really
perfect
and guess what?
greaseball.
His career was fine, at least until Rust.
This and Beetlejuice.
Too soon? Sorry.
This and Beetlejuice together? Come on, it's great.
To back up your Harrison Ford point, I present to you this Nora Dunn story that I'm going to read. We all had such a crush on him. One time Harrison walked up to me and said, I hear that you're working on a different project and that's why you're working tonight. What are you working on? I could barely speak. I said, I'm working on Saturday Night Live. He said, oh yeah, sorry, I haven't seen it. What an amazing, anyway.
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
It's been out for 13 years at that point.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, it's not that good. Laughs. I disowned everything about myself. I even had my hand in my pocket, wrenching off my wedding ring. I turned into a complete ignoramus. I came home very late that night, 5 a.m. My husband was in bed. He said, I'm glad you're home. I have a better half, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, I was such a traitor because I was blown away by Harrison Ford. He was in such great shape and such an absolutely perfect movie star. The whole package.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Nora Dunn.
Yeah.
By all accounts, one of the most unfriendly actors of the 80s and 90s. Just completely all in on
Harrison Ford.
His 80s, just wanted to mention this. Not that people who listen to this podcast wouldn't know this, but 2 Raiders of the Lost Ark movies. Actually, a third, because he made the third.
Last
third
Crusade
one
came out right after
So
this.
3.
Yeah.
2 Star Wars, Blade Runner, Witness, Mosquito Coast, Frantic, and then this movie. That's all in the 80s.
Mhm.
Just from 80 to 89. Just banging them out.
This man does not have an Oscar.
Banging it out.
It is a crime.
They're going to give him
I want to
Irving
Thalberg.
G.
Yeah, I don't
Thalberg,
care.
whatever.
I want it on stage.
What
What would his Oscar have been?
Yeah, what would you give it for?
Regarding Henry?
Fugitive?
By the way, I love Regarding Henry, Mosquito Coast.
I saw it. I like your joke. It's a recurring bit regarding Henry. He's, you know what?
I like Regarding
He's
Henry.
pretty. I don't like it, but he's good
Is
at
this
it.
your audition for
Yeah.
the Regarding Henry
I'm just saying,
Rewatchables? It's on the list.
I love Regarding
Flawed but
Henry.
He's
lovable.
flawed but lovable. He is like, he goes some new places, you know? And you never really see him be that sweet.
The cast in this movie, I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Can brain damage make you a better person? That's the question regarding
The
Henry
answer-
dares
the
to
answer
ask.
is yes.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, I think, might have the highest approval rating of any actor of all time. Craig, what's your relationship with Harrison Ford?
He's my number one favorite actor ever.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Every
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
generation
Nice.
loves Harrison
Yeah.
Ford.
It's
If you-
nice that it's been handed down.
The rule with this stuff is if you're at a party and somebody said, you know, I fucking hate Harrison Ford, people would be like, what? Why?
Ooh.
What do you, like, you just
Yeah.
wouldn't believe
Yeah.
it. Everybody loves
Not
Harrison
even
Ford.
the airplane antics could bring him down, you know?
Not even,
I
he's
think
had a
he-
lot
I
of weird
think he
moments
actually
last
has
20 years.
A higher Q rating than even like a Tom Hanks, genuinely.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Indiana Jones and Han Solo among all the other things that he wanted to do.
He's the most popular actor of my lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, some of that helps because he was been in some of the most popular movies
Sure.
of all time.
He's
But
also just so cool.
And like is still cool.
Yeah.
Chris Ryan thinks Luke Wilson could have had his career. Other people in this cast, Alec Baldwin, you mentioned him.
Yeah.
Young Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
We'll cover him later.
Knots Landing, Alec Baldwin.
Joan Cusack, nominated for an Oscar, which I found strange, but very good.
It's girl
hair,
power,
Guess
makeup.
what?
you know?
I would give it to her.
Yeah.
Nora Dunn mentioned Oliver Platt.
Yeah. Ollie
Starting his role of like, this guy's in an office or in a business. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Is he going to be the villain in
Mhm.
this movie or like the sidekick? Who knows? Spacey. Olympia Dukakis is in this.
Platt. One scene.
Mm.
The year
Oh,
after
she's
winning
great.
the Oscar. Oh,
Yeah.
she's wonderful.
We got to take a break and then we'll talk about Mike Nichols. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Ever finish a movie and the next thing you know, you're totally obsessed? That's happened to me. Like I'm talking about ordering a book about 70s film lighting. Have you done that, Sierra?
I have, yeah.
Or buying the soundtrack on vinyl? Kind of obsessed. Whatever it is, Prime helps you get more out of whatever passions you're into or getting into. Head to Amazon.com/Prime and follow your obsession wherever it goes. All right, this movie's directed by Mike Nichols, who had such a fascinating career that Mark Harris wrote, I think, one of the best Hollywood biographies I ever
It's
read
so
It's
good.
4
really
years
good.
ago
Yeah.
about him. And it was one of those
I
careers
reread
where
As
it's
did
like,
I.
Yeah.
it was like, I always thought this guy was interesting. And then it's like 500 pages of how interesting and
Yeah.
bizarre his life was. And this, so his run in the 80s, just from 83 to 89, was Silkwood, Heartburn, Biloxi Blues, Working Girl, Postcards from the Edge, and then Regarding Henry in 91. But movies that just intersect with you, your brain,
Yeah.
your life. This is like, is he like your favorite director?
One
Is
of
he up
them.
there?
Yeah, absolutely. And a thing that of all those movies that you mentioned, all starring or centered on women, which in the 80s, you know, you didn't always get that. He was famously a comedian, part of Nichols and May.
Yep.
And then, you know, moved into, and a theater legend, moved into directing films, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and then The Graduate. And because he has so much theater work, he's like really good at people talking and characters and people being believable and in real life situations, and like the world around them is always very well observed. And, you know, we say all the time they don't do it like they used to, but Mike Nichols types of movies where people are just trying to
People?
get something in life and
Yeah.
being people, and they are people that you recognize. He is fantastic at it.
There's this personal piece that didn't click for me until I reread this section of the Harris biography, is that this is when he gets together with Diane Sawyer, who, you know, he
Right.
considers
Yeah.
He's,
the
like,
love of his
wooing
life.
her.
And
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah.
They describe them as like giddy teenagers. They're so in love in this section in the book. And so the fact that he's like found the great love of his life right as he's making
Right.
this like beautiful love story inside of Working Girl is really sweet.
And there is also like, so I think that Mike Nichols biography, which is wonderful, so much of it is like his life seems so great. I mean, he was like the creme de la creme in New York, friends with Nora Ephron, married Diane Sawyer, like has a house in Connecticut and like raises horses for some reason. I don't even really know what that is all about, but like a very like educated, fancy, like wealthy, New York society guy. But he is, in fact, like a German immigrant, like worked through all of that. And for me, the biography pointed out like the Tess character is relates to him. Yeah.
And, it's an immigrant
and there are
story.
like a lot of shots of her going past and forth the Statue of Liberty. Like it's not subtle once you see that. And this person, an outsider who like wants to be in the finer things, like wants to be a part of this like great quote unquote American whatever. Definitely comes from him as well.
It's interesting. I was watching a Candice Bergen interview where she was talking about his horses.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think he surrounded himself with wealth to sort of inoculate him, like, because he was so afraid of going back to that sort of humble immigrant roots. And so he's just sort of like, I've got horses. I eat caviar. I'm BFF with Carly Simon. Like all this sort of stuff like that. It's just sort of like, I'm never going back.
Yeah, he was big on chartered planes and just kind of obscene wealth. And that was
like he lived well. How about that?
The book made a big piece of the second half of the book is he's so kind of obsessed with just garnering wealth because he wants to fly private everywhere he goes. He wants to stay in like the bay. So he ends up taking some projects that basically just for the paycheck. And his 90s get pretty strange.
Yeah.
Yes.
He makes some bad ones and basically does some money grab stuff, but
also the masterpiece regarding Henry. So you know.
But he belongs to this different era though of when like these like very powerful creative guys felt like they ran New York. And now it's kind of over. Like Graydon Carter retired and Lorne Michaels is 80. But you had this run in the 80s, 90s where it was like Mike Nichols, Graydon Carter, Mike Nichols. There was like these 6, 7 of them. And it felt like all of New York culture just kind of ran through all of them.
Yeah, Harrison Ford
talks
talks
all
about
friends with each other.
Yeah, Harrison Ford talks about how like every day they shot, they also went out to these like really long lunches at the best restaurants and had the wittiest conversation, and that was what it was like to work with Mike Nichols.
Yeah, and Spy Magazine was starting to even parody some of this stuff at this point. But Nichols, fascinating guy. I think when I think about his movies, especially when you look at all these in a row, just really good with lead female characters. Just want to like he just for some reason. And they all loved him.
Works with Meryl Streep 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, in that
decade,
and then she comes back for
a real
Angela
80s
America,
man too, which I wouldn't call him like breathtakingly handsome, but it seemed like I
think he and Melanie have the same number of marriages.
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot going on in really his whole life until he found.
But so like to that point, when they gave him the sort of like AFI award, every single tribute speech was given by a woman. Yeah. It was like Nora Ephron, Elaine May, Meryl Streep, Cher, Candice Bergen.
There was an oral history. I didn't read it. It came out last year. Because I felt like the biography, I was good with Mike Nichols. I didn't really need to double down. But there was an oral history. It's called something like Mike Nichols as told by 150 of his closest friends.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a really good title.
Yeah.
Screenplay was written by Kevin Wade, who went to New York City in 1984 and saw all of these career women walking through the streets in tennis shoes, carrying his high heels. And it's like, that feels like a movie.
Yeah.
Then we go. Ends up getting nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Director, doesn't win. Best Actress, Griffith loses. Best Supporting Actress, Weaver and Cusack. And only wins for Carly Simon's Let the River Run. One of only, I think this is right.
Guys, how are the levels on that?
Perfect. Only this and Bruce Springsteen's Philadelphia. I think, at least in my research, maybe there's been one in the last couple of years they didn't update, but won Best Original Song Oscars, Grammy, Golden Globe, all 3. Triple Crown.
Wow.
Not like you wouldn't know it's a Carly Simon song.
I think so.
Right? You would think it could be like it's just a popular. Does it sound like Carly Simon to you though?
I don't know. I don't remember a time where I didn't know this was a Carly Simon song. So this just is the Carly. But like the way that she hums throughout the movie is very Gilmore Girls to me. You know what I mean? So like all of that is connected in its own special way.
More DNA for this movie, Gilmore Girls.
But I think that like That's Carole King, but it's like it's a very similar like vibe. And I think what's interesting, according to my research, is that originally she wrote a bunch of songs for this movie, and they were all very explicitly telling you what was happening in the plot.
Yeah,
and so they just cut.
She's
all of
just
those.
trying to get ahead. Yeah.
It's time to cut your hair, you know, whatever. So,
best picture, Rain Man beats it.
Okay.
Good category that year. Rain Man, Accidental Tourist, Dangerous Liaisons, Mississippi Burning, Working Girl.
I'd probably give it to Dangerous Liaisons, but I would give it to Working Girl over Rain Man.
I would
Dangerous
as well.
Liaisons person?
Oh, I love Dangerous Liaisons. Yeah.
Is that you throwing your hat in the ring?
No, I'm not audition. Just every time I say I like a movie doesn't mean.
No, because I love that movie.
Yeah. It's a great movie.
I don't think CR, it's too,
it's too risque. Yeah,
he
he
gets a little
doesn't work
risque.
blue.
CR turns into like that timid Irish Catholic
Right.
guy.
No, Glenn Close, Malkovich. Come on.
It's good. I still go for Working Girl over Rain Man.
Oh yeah, Working Girl over
But
Rain
like,
Man.
Rain Man was like a real thing.
Rain Man was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
This was too, but Rain Man was like a phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
I think.
We were constantly quoting Rain Man. We weren't quoting Working Girl necessarily.
Well, Barry Levinson wins
Amanda
for
was.
Best Directing.
My dad's favorite
Rain Man.
director. Of
And
all time.
Hoffman wins for Best Actor.
Mm-hmm.
Best Actress. Melanie Griffith loses to Jodie Foster. Glenn Close is in there for Dangerous Liaisons, which is a fucking incredible performance. Like
that's
incredible.
The winner, honestly.
I think that's the winner.
But is that where her like trajectory of always being the loser starts? That's the one.
Her taking off the makeup at the end.
Yeah. She's very good.
I think it took like a couple more nominations before she became the Susan
but like
Lucci
that's
of Oscars.
where we could have turned
Stopped
it around, right?
Yeah, before it started, honestly.
Meryl Streep in a Cry in the Dark. I don't remember that movie.
That's not. Is that Dingo Ate
The
My Baby?
Dingo Ate My Baby?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And then Sigourney got nominated for Girls in the Mist. All right. No Best Actor supporting, but Best Actress, Cusack and Sigourney. So Sigourney with the double nomination. Always love when that happens. Strong year.
This is also one of the rare 3 women nominated from one movie.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like maybe All About Eve is
Chicago.
Yeah, it's
because
only happened a couple times.
Queen Latifah, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and
Frances
Renee.
McDormand. You might have heard of her.
I have.
Mississippi Burning.
Mhm.
Pfeiffer, Dangerous Liaisons. And then Gina Davis wins for The Accidental Tourist.
A
Well,
role-
don't save it. Some really good ones didn't get nominated that year. I just want to point out that I think Joan Cusack's really good in this movie. I also don't think it's that important of a part, and I can't believe she got nominated because Elizabeth Perkins in Big.
She's pretty good.
Wouldn't that be lead?
I think you could throw in that supporting. Susan Sarandon, Bull Durham, not nominated?
Once again, that's lead.
Yeah. Well,
but she should have been nominated.
Is it lead?
I think you could have shoehorned it into supporting to try to get.
Are you a category purist?
Not
Do you feel
necessarily,
very
but I
strongly
don't
about
think
this?
they played such fast and loose games with category fraud back in the 80s.
Here's where it goes.
I don't mind it at the end of the day, especially if someone like hasn't gotten an award and can get an easy one in supporting where they can't compete in lead.
What about Hopkins' 16 minutes for Hannibal Lecter, Best Actor?
Yeah,
16 minutes of the movie.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
I support it.
Three men who didn't get nominated: Charles Grodin in Midnight Run,
That's tough.
Alan Rickman in Die Hard,
Also tough.
Malkovich in Dangerous Liaisons. What the fuck are we doing?
They nominated
What are
Dangerous
we
Liaison
doing?
for
I
Best
don't
Picture
know.
and did not nominate Malkovich is wild. Truly wild. But what's funny is like you mentioned Die Hard, and you say Die Hard to me now. I was like, well, Die Hard's not going to get nominated for something. But Working Girl is such an improbable. Doesn't it seem like now Working Girl feels like, I mean, not in an Honora year necessarily, but like you're like, oh, this is just an 80s rom-com. And I think growing up, it wouldn't have occurred to me that this was a 6
Yeah, I was
Oscar
surprised
nominee.
by
Yeah.
6, but it was a massive movie.
Yeah.
Malkovich really hurts.
It does.
I don't understand that one. We saw this movie when I was in college. It was right when I was really getting into movies from like a bigger picture way. And we all left the theater and we were like, holy fucking, that movie.
Dangerous Liaisons.
And we were like,
Uma.
not Malkovich. Yeah, I mean, just everything. But we were like, that was like, is that like the greatest acting performance of all? Like, we didn't know any better.
Who was nominated?
So Best Supporting, Kevin Kline won for Fish That Saved Wanda, Alec Guinness, Little Dorrit, Martin Landau, Tucker, The Man in His Dream, River Phoenix running an empty. I don't mind that. And then Dean Stockwell married to the mob.
Okay, so just some old timers.
They didn't
And
really,
Kevin Kline.
and Kevin Kline wins.
Yeah.
Grodin, I think, bothers me the most other than Malkovich, but regardless. $28 million budget for Working Girl made $103 million and then lived on for the next 38 years and counting, and it's on.
Guys, we used to live in a better world where a working girl could make over $100 million and get nominated for 6 Oscars.
Yeah.
Well, Roger Ebert, 4 stars.
Raj.
The plot of Working Girl is put together like clockwork. Carries you along while you're watching it, but reconstruct it later and you'll see the craftsmanship. And then he said,
it's called Cinderella, but that's fine.
And then he said, Working Girl is Nichols returning to the top of his form and Griffith finding hers.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah, because they didn't like Biloxi Blues very much.
No.
Yeah.
I defend Heartburn. Big time. Even though it was not well received.
I like to think about Heartburn more than I like watching Heartburn.
Craig, who's Melanie Griffith for your generation?
I mean, Dakota Johnson. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
I mean, she kind of,
She's single.
Similar-ish beginnings.
Let's do the categories.
Okay.
We just saw a Dakota Johnson movie earlier this week together.
She has really shiny hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a similar smile.
She does. But when we were talking about Don Johnson's hair, I was like, oh, maybe the hair is from Don Johnson. Yeah.
And the smile's from Melanie.
It's really, really shiny.
What a legend. Most rewatchable scene. Opening credits, I'm just throwing it out.
Absolutely.
Are just really good. With the Carly Simon song and the Statue of Liberty. And you get to see all of New York. And then it's like, they're the Twin Towers. And then there's Staten Island Ferry. And
and then it goes right into them on the ferry and the shoes and they get that in the first few minutes.
It feels like it's cheesy.
Well, it's on my list.
No, we have a bunch.
I don't know.
It feels like it's going to be cheesy. And then it's not cheesy. It's like, I'm actually enjoying this little.
And you liked it both times because you said you liked watching this movie the second time more than the first time.
Yeah.
What did you bump on the first time?
Because I was just, every time it's like the hair and the clothes. Yeah. And it's oh my God, this movie feels.
Yeah.
My son walked by the TV at one point and he's like, the fuck is this movie? Like he was just completely confused by it.
He's like, is this a Mad Max
Joe
movie?
Cusack
What are we
and all
watching?
those.
Sure.
He was like, what is this?
Yeah.
All right, next one I have is Bob from Arbitrage in the limo with Tess. Because it's so fascinating to see Spacey. We're gonna party. I'm starting a new category.
Mm-hmm.
The Kevin Spacey doing cocaine, showing porn, and inappropriately sexually harassing Tess in a limo award for craziest foreshadowing of a real life event.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if we'll ever hand that category out again.
I had this in what aged the best. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
They knew.
Wow.
Yeah.
You really
Mike Nichols, perceptive.
I really like though when she types in David Lutz is a sleazoid pimp with a tiny little dick.
Sleazoid pimp is incredible. It's one of my most 1987 things. Yeah. The word sleazoid, which we don't use anymore, and that's sad.
Tess in Sigourney's office. I'm just going to call her Sigourney throughout the movie, even though she's Catherine. She's talking German.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. When she calls to make the
she's like
the reservation.
Mm-hmm.
She's just really turning it on, but then gives the Tess, you don't get anywhere in this world by waiting for what you want to come to you. You make it happen.
While wearing her ski boots over her nylons. Before she gets on the phone and starts speaking German, she says, well, did you tell them it was me?
Right.
Which is just like, that's some special energy to bring to the world.
I also like how Melanie Griffith is reacting off of what a pompous, piece of shit boss she is, but she's just kind of...
She's absorbing.
She's trying to absorb, and she's actually genuinely interested in her answers.
I really like when she asks Sigourney, well, what happens if he doesn't propose? And Sigourney goes, I really don't think that's a variable.
Right.
And I'm me, so...
Also, good office. Get a nice little shot. You can hear the ferry in the background.
Yeah.
All right, so you got that. Tess goes to the bar and meets Harrison Ford.
That's mine.
Obviously.
That's my number one.
100%.
I have a head for business and a bod for sin.
Yeah.
All-timer.
I've been looking for you.
Why, do you know me?
No. But I promised myself that when I saw you, I would get to know you. You're the first woman I've seen in one of these damn things that dresses like a woman, not like a woman thinks a man would dress if he was a woman.
Thank you, I guess.
What are you doing here?
Actually, I'm looking for someone myself. His name is Jack Trainer. He works at Dewey Stone. Do you know if he's here?
Why are you looking for him?
You're the first woman I've seen at one of these things that dresses like a woman, not like a woman thinks a man would dress if I thought that's a good line.
The costuming throughout is great, but you see all the other women
are in like
their
gray
suits,
business suits.
and they clock her and look at her like,
and
what's wrong with her?
She shows up and thinking that she completely misdressed for this occasion, which she kind of did, but
she
caught the eye.
She looks great.
Oh,
I think
the best.
this is the best she looks in the movie.
She looks incredible.
So good.
And really good Harrison Ford double take shot.
Yeah.
This scene's really good. This has one of my favorite moves that you can do in a rom-com. The guy not saying who he is when he meets our lead character is just like, that works 98% of the time.
The costume designer, Ann Roth, one of the things that she said was like, I cheated with that dress. She's like, because no way could Sigourney Weaver wear that dress because it's way too short on her. Sigourney Weaver's so tall that it would just look silly on her. But she was like, who cares? Yeah, it's fine.
Craig, when you write your AI rom-com, put in something about the guy who meets the lead character
and lies to her.
Doesn't admit that he's the character.
Yeah, I didn't tell Liz who I was when I met her.
She's like, don't you work at the Ringer? It's like, no. I might be alone on this for a rewatchable scene, but I like the party when Nick and Tess get in the fight after, and he goes, who the fuck died and made you Grace Kelly?
That's a good line.
Then she comes back with, I am not steak. You can't just order me.
Yeah.
It's just fucking great screenwriting, but I like that scene. I like when they fight.
It's good. She looks good in that one too. Because the incident where they had to shut down production happened on Staten Island, the whole time I was just watching.
You're like, is this the
one? Is this the one? I don't think that's the one.
I think it's when they're walking with the pizza box.
Yeah.
Oh, you think it's the wedding?
No, I think it was the wedding because that was the one they had to delay by a day.
Oh, okay.
It was?
But I think it was the wedding where she's dressed in the bridesmaid's outfit.
Oh, do you think she was so tanked because she couldn't stand being in that bright turquoise bridesmaid
Might have
dress?
been
that was tough.
Okay.
Yeah. I really loved every single moment of the luau wedding party.
Yeah, of course.
The drinks are great. I like the bartenders and the waiters.
I went to a wedding over Memorial
You
Day
told me
and
this,
they played that song and I was like, this is a working girl wedding song.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Why didn't you have a luau wedding?
Because we didn't dream big enough, you know?
Any regrets? Would you do it over again?
Also because Zach planned it. So I wanted to do City Hall and he planned the wedding, but maybe we should do a renewal of vows luau.
A renewal of vows luau wedding.
That would be great.
Can Joanna be invited?
Please. I didn't have a 40th birthday party, so maybe it can be 40th birthday vow renewal luau situation.
Working girl homage.
Let's go.
We need the tall, like just red 40 drinks, whatever it is that Harrison Ford's drinking.
With the straws from Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Craig, have you ever been to a themed wedding?
No.
See, I think this was a 70s, 80s thing that went away. Because we took weddings less seriously when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well,
and then they eventually had to become these big, serious, major events.
I love that when the bride enters the bathroom in tears and she's like, my husband says it looks like Nicaragua.
Making a statement.
Yeah, did we go too big?
It's really funny.
We get a Ricky Lake cameo out of nowhere.
Oh,
we get
Duchovny's in this too.
Duchovny's in the scene when they fight.
He's also in the like surprise.
Oh, he's in the wedding too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Duchovny's got this slick back hair thing going on.
It's his Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead hair.
Yeah. I like when she dances with Trask too. I like Trask. I think he's good.
Yeah.
A couple more. Jack telling her where he got his scar. You guys talked about that scene earlier.
Sure. No. That's a different shirtless scene.
Yeah.
When after he's come back from Memphis and he's at the office.
Oh, yeah.
And he's on the phone.
Gotcha.
And so he's doing like the gym class, change the shirt while the phone thing, you know? It's great.
And all the ladies in the office outside
Through the
of his window start cheering for him. And he's like, yeah. That was, you imagine what offices are like growing up watching these things. So growing up watching like the Mary Tyler Moore show is like, okay, you always have a bottle of booze in the bottom drawer of your desk. And then watching this, I was like, and you have fresh shirts,
of course.
In case you just flew back from Memphis.
And shoes and sneakers and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Nobody would steal anything. I thought it was believable post-coitus bed talk with them. They usually ruin those scenes in rom-coms. Or in Top Gun
it was
Maverick.
Charming. I mean, oh my God. Well...
Just laughing hysterically. My favorite. Craig, we might have to break that scene down on Ringer Movies.
Yeah.
I have so many thoughts. It's one of the funniest 2-minute scenes of this century.
It's really, really good.
Couple more. Jack visits Catherine with Tess hiding in the apartment. I always like that when we have to do the Three's Company. Can Big Jack come out to play? Makes me laugh. The boardroom showdown, got that. The elevator showdown.
Yeah.
And then I really like when she meets the new assistant at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole interaction is so good.
Amy Aquino. Yeah.
I expect you to call me Tess. I don't expect you to fetch me coffee unless you're getting some for yourself. And, the rest we'll just make up as we go along. Okay?
Says the thing about only get me coffee if you're also getting
coffee
like whatever
for
she
yourself.
says. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just like, oh, this is good. She's learned lessons.
And the rest will make it up as we go along.
Yeah.
And then Mike Nichols is like, but don't get too excited and just hands back. And
You're just a rat in the maze.
you're just a mouse in the trap.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your most rewatchable?
Can I add one?
Yeah.
So after they meet, Harrison Ford and Tess meet, and then she passes out from the Valium and he takes her home and props her up in the chair and then is doing like a whole solo date with her.
Would you like a nightcap? I guess not. It's too late for coffee. Herb tea. Herb tea. I don't have any. It always sounds good when people offer it to me when I'm in your shape.
He's like, would you like a nightcap? Would you like some tea? And she's flapping over. He is so funny. And he is he is acting against, Melanie Griffith as a rag doll.
He's very funny. I do have it under what age the worst.
Sure.
But
he didn't. And in the end, he did the right thing.
Mostly. He took off her dress, which he didn't need to do, got in the bed with her while he is also naked. I'm saying, put her on your bed, sleep on the couch.
We don't know if he's naked. I'm with
bare
you on
leg,
the couch.
bare shirt. No shirt.
So I had,
no
I had for what's age the worst for this whole thing that they just wouldn't have this scene in the movie now.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it was there's kind of an innocence to it that I appreciated.
When he says, "Would you like a nightcap?" No, and he's like, "Would you like?" He's like, "This always makes me feel better when I'm in your position." Like it is funny. Yeah, it's really funny. That part is really funny.
The whole thing about like the apartment maybe not clean and like I don't mind, but people who come, like,
it's very funny.
It's really, really good Harrison Ford.
Yeah, it's very good
and good physical comedy.
I would like to add the farce of Melanie Griffith pretending to be the boss, Joan Cusack pretending to be her secretary.
Oh yeah,
while Nora Dunn's trying to get in, and Harrison
one.
Ford's in the
That's
office. Yeah.
So what do you have for most rewatchable?
I mean, the opening. I think the opening. That's hard though. With the wedding and then also the elevators. Do I have to pick the whole movie?
You have to pick. It's all playing the category.
Okay, the elevators. The
do
elevators
I have to
is
pick?
so good.
Nobody's ever asked that on Rewatchables.
I know, but I'm so excited. It took me like my second watch to find any like what aged poorly because I was just too happy.
Yeah.
I picked the wedding. I'm not the I picked the elevator. No, I picked the elevator at the end.
Okay. What do you have, Joanna?
The meet cute at the bar.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
I don't think he'd be ordering gold tequila, but other than that, 10 out of 10, no notes.
I have the bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the most 1988 thing about this movie? I have 7 candidates, but give me your best one.
The eyeshadow.
The hair.
Yeah.
So I had all the haircuts.
Yeah.
The makeup and the eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The shoulder when they have sex and they're undressing each other in his apartment, and she's got like a translucent blouse on, but you can see the shoulder pads through the translucent blouse. Yeah, that's shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple more runners up because the hair is the answer.
They feel great.
Yeah.
What about the powder blue ruffled tux look at the wedding?
Sure.
The Twin Towers, sadly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Multiple women calling themselves secretary.
Yes, that's true.
I don't think that word's been said in 15 years.
Well, Amy Aquino corrects it at the end. If it's okay, I prefer assistant.
Yeah.
Lark cigarettes.
Oh, good one.
I don't even know what
I don't know what those are.
Remember those?
Me neither.
A lead movie character regularly reading newspapers and magazines.
What about radio being
radio being a thing?
A thing.
But my number one, other than the hair, is Catherine's exercise bike.
Oh yeah.
That she gets on it. That thing looks like it's out of like 1884.
It's very good.
Like I think Taylor Sheridan used it for one of his go back shows.
True.
I think I can't even. It looked like it weighed 140 pounds. It's like made of wood.
I mean, it's clever though
got
because you're
row
also like
things.
you're sort of doing a crunch. You're using the
Yeah,
core
yeah.
as you're pedaling. It looks hard.
And they have like the old mid 80s TV with like the
Yeah.
VCR on it. It was like it's just the most 80s scene in all the movies
Yes.
somehow.
The all the computer monitors,
Yeah.
all the printouts.
Oh yeah,
you know,
The
like,
computers.
yeah.
the email,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Okay, let's take one more break and we'll do what's age the best. All right, what's age the best? What do you got?
Let the River Run. The song and the score. And the way they use it, you know, when the chandelier is coming, when they're
Yeah.
coming down, and it's just like the organ, like
yeah,
you're at a
yeah,
church,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's Let the River Run, and like, and then what's
yeah,
it for?
it's like
For cleaning.
rom-com gospel music.
It's really, yeah, but it's really, really well done. And I do also think like that, like the bigness of it, that first shot of the Statue of Liberty, and
Yeah.
you got all the drums going, and it's like, oh, okay,
I'll go further. It shouldn't work.
yeah,
It should have failed.
yeah, but
Like
but it
we're gonna
works.
make rom-com gospel music, and that should just be like that shouldn't work.
yeah,
And it works.
It works.
Gets me. I'm singing it, walking into
yeah,
the
of course.
doing the
no.
pod.
I love it. That gets stuck in my head all the time. That song gets stuck in my head all the
It's
time.
anthemic.
Yeah.
It's
What do you have?
Supportive work husband, Jack Trainer.
yeah, that's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
you liked when they were making toast together and
It was so
buttering
cute
it?
in the
Yeah.
kitchen scene
And
at
the
the end.
little
And he packs her
the
a lunch.
lunchbox, which he got monogrammed very quickly. Because
I'm still waiting for my first
Yeah,
fun
when
morning
does
experience
Trask
like that.
say report to my office?
tomorrow
Oh,
morning.
okay,
Right.
wow.
And they do have to
An
go back and
overnight
like finish
monogram?
their contracts.
It
yeah.
seems like they've been living together for a little while when she
right.
goes.
I'm
yeah.
also like, how did you get, you
I
know,
wish he
like
had
the
said report
Lunchables and
next
everything
week or
yeah,
something like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Do you and Zach like share a toast and it
No.
pops out of the toaster and you butter it and then he
No,
puts
he
jam
does-
on it?
They
He
use
does bring
it.
me coffee though. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he does.
Oh,
every
that's
morning.
great.
Yeah, it is very nice. And he's the
So
barista.
Zach plans weddings and brings
Yes.
you coffee.
Yeah.
It's really a renaissance
The,
man.
the
that
full
Zach.
Yes.
package. The full package.
I have for what's age the best other than David Duchovny's cameo. And I really love the round table that they have near the end of the movie. It's just,
Oh yeah.
I was almost thinking about it for The Ringer. Could we do like a 12-person podcast with this giant round table?
Yes.
It would be fun.
What's age the best? Jack's Tequila Gold Order, which
Mhm.
seemed really rambunctious in the late 80s. Like you ordered tequila, it was basically like doing cocaine.
Yeah.
But
It's like the
tequila
most dangerous
gold?
order.
That's how she reacts.
But just that he was a
Yeah.
tequila guy,
Yeah.
now it's like tequila's,
Yeah.
one of the go-to.
That's my drink.
Yeah.
Tequila. But
in the 80s.
just neat?
yeah.
I'm
Or
telling
tequila
you,
soda,
in the
but yeah.
80s, people were afraid of tequila.
Yeah.
It was like,
And
you drink tequila, you'll
Gold
black
is
out.
like, yeah.
I don't even know what tequila gold is. I feel like you made
it's
that
cheaper than it, what I think a Jack Trainer would
up.
order.
Jack being on tequila early, though,
It
good
was
job.
also a double, and then he got 2 of them. So they really had 4 shots in
Right.
like 10
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
And she had taken 4 Valium.
Valiums.
I should check the milligrams.
Live and learn.
Live and learn.
What's age the best? This will be my Harrison Ford contribution
Okay.
to whatever. Great clothes in this movie by him. I was
Yeah.
admiring all of the
All the
outfits and the
suits.
tie choices. It wasn't
Yeah.
1988 at all. It actually felt like you could wear a lot of those suits. I was impressed.
I mean, Joanna mentioned Anne Roth did the costumes, who is like
Yeah.
a legend.
Yeah.
And it like across the
all
board.
solid colors for the most
But
part.
I mean, because once Tess has her makeover, it's like really communicating something both like very 80s, but very different about who that character is or who that character is trying to be. Like the Sigourney Weaver's entire
Oh my
closet
God.
is so
All of her
like
skirt
the-
suits.
yeah,
like,
the details are spot on and they really do make the characters. But I agree that he looks great. His overcoat, he's got a scarf,
great
jaunty scarf.
clothes. Richard Gere and Pretty Woman also great clothes.
Yeah.
It's like a sneaky thing when you have
But
like
clothes-
the rom-com guy who's got to be a wealthy guy. The
Yeah.
clothes have to work.
And the clothes fit,
Yeah.
which I would just give a note to all men now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can find a tailor.
Clothes don't fit anymore.
I have for what's age the best, the Melanie Griffith, hot mess, stealth smart, baby voice archetype.
Okay.
Just as a movie character, I'm always in.
Who else you got?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do you
It's
got?
just I'm in when it's like, oh, I'm gonna underestimate her.
Right.
And there's way more going on here, but nobody sees it. But we, the audience, see it, but nobody else does yet. It just works.
Yeah.
So, Craig, add that to the rom-com.
The
I mean, I guess
the Judy Holiday sort
Princess
of thing.
Diaries.
Yeah,
It's another one.
sure.
Well, I guess she's not really baby voice.
She's just a teenager.
Well, but she doesn't believe in
Anne
herself.
Hathaway and Devil Wears Prada the
Sure,
first half
that's
hour
true.
when Meryl Streep's just
Yeah.
ripping her a new one.
Yeah. Before the makeover. Yeah.
What's age the best? Trying to guess which scenes Melanie Griffith filmed right after she was out 4:30 in the morning night before. It's weirdly like a great part of rewatching this movie.
And you can win that game, actually. You can.
How about this tidbit? I don't know what category to put this, but I'll put it in what's age the best. Working Girl became an NBC series in 1990 because this is what we did in the 80s and early 90s. A movie was successful and they had no ideas.
Before they turned them into Broadway musicals.
Right.
Do you know who starred as Tess?
I do not.
I don't. Will you give us a hint?
Want to play 20 questions?
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. We'll
brunette or blonde?
Well, you have to say, I was going to say, is she blonde?
Is she blonde?
No.
No. Okay.
Is she brunette?
Yes.
Okay. Is she still working today?
Yes.
Is she more of a TV? Is she a TV actress?
No.
Has she been in a Rewatchables movie?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Has she won an Oscar?
This is really fun.
Yeah.
She won an Oscar. Yes.
Okay. Dark hair, has won an Oscar, has been in a Rewatchables movie.
Working.
Still working. I'm like, my hands, I'm like controlling them under the table. I'm like, I can't. I want to reach for my computer so badly. Okay. It's not Sandra Bullock because she's not really still working. It is Sandra Bullock?
Sandra Bullock?
She's not working.
I mean,
well, she hasn't been working. She hasn't made movies in a long time. She has her own life. Listen, people make choices,
Take the
but
win.
It's Sandra Bullock?
Take the win.
It's Sandra Bullock.
Oh,
Take the win.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Sandra Bullock, 12 episodes of Working Girl.
Yeah.
Somewhere on YouTube.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Does she have the hair? Craig, does she have the hair and the makeup and everything?
that I don't know. I'll look that up though.
Okay.
What was her Oscar? I forget.
Blindside.
Oh, yeah.
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 You ready for that rewatchable?
That's Van's already.
Yeah.
Van didn't just request to be on it. He's just
demanded.
like, I have to be on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's age the best? This quote: "Never burn bridges. Today's junior prick, tomorrow's senior partner."
Yep.
Good lesson in life.
Yep.
And then I have the officer and a gentleman homage when they're kissing, and one of the secretaries says, "Way to go, Tess! Way to go!" Which is like, I that could either age the worst or the best.
No,
but I'm
I
gonna
love
go
it.
best.
It's
I love
really
that.
good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Big Kahuna Burger Award for best use of food or drink. I'll give you champagne on Spacey or the dim sum dumplings.
Dim sum dumpling, the souvlaki,
Sure. I mean, I was going to say tequila.
tequila shots, wedding drinks.
Okay.
And then the wedding drink
wedding
is
drinks.
the other one. With
Oh,
Harrison
that's the
Ford.
winner.
Yeah,
The-
the wedding drink.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair. What do you have for great shot order? It's the opening credits, right?
I was going to say the last shot. That last shot when she
Either.
is
Yeah,
like, because it is like a whole idea about the movie. And it is otherwise like not a saccharine movie, but I think that last shot adds like a lot of ideas to what you're supposed to take away from it. And you also like think about it. You know, it's famous,
Yeah.
right? It's the finest. It's just her and then it's everyone.
That is
you
the
know?
most famous shot of the movie, I think, or her on the ferry at some point. I would say there's after Baldwin cheats on her, and I think basically she spends the night on the ferry. There's a shot of her on the ferry with just like a fog machine behind her.
Yeah.
And then you get this crazy, it's a helicopter shot over the water into the night skyline, but it's sped up so it looks like a drone did it.
almost looks fake.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award, Best Needle Drop. I'll give you Lady in Red by Krista Bird
Yes.
or the
Yeah.
Pointer Sisters with I'm So Excited.
So Let the River Run is not eligible.
Not eligible.
Okay. It's obviously Lady in Red.
It's definitely Lady in Red.
They milk it too. You know, they give you like a long intro. And you're just like, oh my God, is this really? They're doing
It's
Lady in Red?
the whole time, and then they dance.
That's one of those karaoke songs that it's almost weird if somebody picks it. Where they're
It's
just
not
like,
almost.
I've never seen you lose. You're like,
It's
what's
also
this guy doing?
So slow.
You have
Yeah.
to really commit to it.
It's also like everyone has to have had
You can't
tequila at that
Yeah.
point.
half-ass
Tequila Gold.
Lady in
Yeah.
Red. Fun fact, did you know that, I'm sure you did, that they first cut the opening to the Eagles' Witchy Woman and everyone liked it, and Mike Nichols told Carly Simon that, and she's like, how dare you? You
And
can't.
upped her game.
That absolutely ruins the movie
I
if it's
agree.
Witchy Woman.
Witchy
that
Woman.
would be so bad.
Yeah, that Mike Nichols called her. He's like, we're gonna use it at the end, but we're gonna
It
open
really
with
fucks the movie up.
Yeah.
the Eagles' Witchy Woman.
It's a good song, but not
for that.
Chess Rockwell, Brock Landers Award for Best Character Name. Can I submit Doreen DiMucci?
It wasn't me
Sure.
popping Doreen DiMucci in our
really
bed.
good.
Yeah,
Doreen
of course it's
DiMucci.
Doreen
Or
Classic.
DiMucci.
Trask is a good runner-up.
Doreen DiMucci.
I'm so happy to give this out with Amanda Dobbins here. The
It's
Amanda
my
Dobbins
honor.
Award for Best Piece of Real Estate.
Yeah, this
one
is
of the great categories.
Listen, this is like one of my great career achievements that this career exists. So you would think that I would go for the townhouse, and it is a beautiful townhouse. However, when you see the exterior shots, it appears to be like on an avenue. I don't know whether that's Madison or Lex, but it looks a little busy.
Yeah.
The office.
That's what I was going to say.
Catherine Parker's office with
had that
with
as well.
the view.
Yeah.
I mean, the full harbor, like she has a corner, so she gets both Governor's Island and the Statue of Liberty. I don't know how a 30-year-old transferring down from Boston is getting that office, but
Family money.
yeah, well, still, it's really,
I
it's
knew
quite
that was going to
something.
be the answer.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay.
It's
Well,
incredible.
Amanda's still up because you have a flex category. What's your
Okay,
flex
right.
category?
So I know what I'm going to do. It is, I just have to read the full thing. It is the Vincent Chase Award for Are We Sure This Character Was Actually Good at His Job? Which goes to literally every single person in this movie besides Tess. What are we doing here? Okay? Jack Traynor, like, has not had an idea in 10 years. He desperately needs it, but he's also not going to take the meeting at the work thing. He just wants to go drink with someone else instead. Then all he has to do is call someone in Memphis and be like, hey, come to...
He takes a flight. He goes down. He glad hands them.
Sure, that's true. But
Yeah.
like, here's what I'm saying. That's like half a day's work.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Catherine gets promoted or transferred down from Boston, immediately goes on a ski vacation, you
Yeah.
know? Also is not bringing any ideas to the table as far as I can tell. Everyone else, all of the Trask
Not sold on any of the
subordinates,
Trask people.
they're just like, he's not going to do that. And then they get
The
a phone
rings.
call.
That's such a good scene.
Like, no one has ideas. No one's doing anything besides like
Nora
checking
Dunn
their
is
schedule.
trying to do things, but her printer's not working.
Yeah. And also her party ideas are bad.
They are bad.
So I mean, I guess mergers and acquisitions, I'm not sure if they're good at their jobs.
Arbitrage isn't doing well
No.
either.
it's not.
Certainly not.
Yeah, that's a good point on Jack.
Yeah.
I
No,
expected more from
bless
Harvard
him.
class of 1970. I don't
Jack,
know.
Also,
Jack
yeah.
should have asked one question.
Sure.
I mean, that ruins the premise of the movie, but like one question
Yeah.
of like, hey, has anyone heard of Tess
Yeah.
McGill? Have you worked with her before? Should I
Yeah,
work
true.
with her?
Like,
know this
should the
Tess
fact
McGill?
that I'm sort of in a relationship with her colleague have,
Yeah.
you know, any impact
Any
on what's
bearing
going
on
on
this?
here?
Yeah.
Maybe I should
Wouldn't
mention
Jack
it.
be like, Tess, where'd you go to college? Where'd you go to business school? Where you from?
School of Hard Knocks. School of Life.
And that's a good one, Amanda.
Thank you.
I have the, I don't know if I put this in the rundown for you all, but the Tom Cruise Which End Do I Light Award for terrible on-screen smoking
Mm-hmm.
goes to Sigourney in The Office. Doesn't actually put the cigarette in her mouth. Does the classic, the character is supposed to be smoking. and
Right.
does one of these, but when you see like there's doesn't touch
air
her lips.
between
It's almost like she was so bad at it that they tried to cut it out, but they didn't
Yeah.
have anything else for that one scene because she only is smoking in that one scene and they barely show it.
And that's it.
It might also be a character decision where they're like, she
No,
would not be a smart, but
No,
it
Amanda.
seems like she's just not good at
it's
it.
not
Yeah,
what they
that's
did.
okay. She's good at other things.
The Butch's Girlfriend Award for weak link of the film. What do you have?
I don't think there is one.
What do you have?
I mean, Doreen.
Doreen DiMucci just
Yeah.
having sex with Alec Baldwin and then
And
showing
like,
up at
once
the party.
the reaction, I don't know if like you're supposed to be looking at her face and emotional reaction
when
in that
Baldwin
moment.
proposes.
No. Once they catch her in the bedroom, but
Oh.
like her fake crying
Oh,
as she is
I was
astride
distracted.
Alec Baldwin,
Yeah.
it's not believable.
Okay. Shots fired.
That's
at
a
Doreen
really good
DiMucci.
candidate.
Thank
I
you.
don't get mad until I finish what I say here.
Okay. It's
Weak
not
link of
too
the
late.
film.
It's not too late to not do it.
No, don't get mad. Because
Is this the one where you were gleefully saying
No.
earlier you are excited
No.
to piss us off about?
no, this is an absolutely absurd premise for a movie. It's absurd.
So is Die Hard.
Yeah.
I said, you got to let me finish.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And they pulled it off and it works.
Yeah.
It is a 9. I have it as a 9.6 out of 10 on the no fucking way scale that Tess is able, her boss goes away and she's just able to pull off like basically a merger with Trask and
Right.
she doesn't have an office and she's just in her office and nobody else in the, I mean, if you actually like really look at this, it's absurd.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh.
It's a set move.
Swayze disagrees.
Do we want to get that?
Nah, we'll fix it later. I'm on a heater.
Okay.
Look, most movies are absurd. Pretty Woman's absurd. Most movies that we love are absurd. I just want to point out that this movie fundamentally is absolutely absurd that she pulls this off and then they're like, Swayze's furious.
This is what your take did to the studio.
My take, Swayze. I think we leave that.
I think we leave it too.
Anyway.
I agree with you.
It's absurd.
Of course it is.
It
But
aligns with my point that were anyone good at their job, then maybe they would notice what's going on here, you know?
First of all, she's
it doesn't
fired.
matter.
She's fired immediately.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, you're a secretary and you just arranged this merger and then we caught you? Like, pack your bags.
How does
Well, that's what happened.
How does nobody in the office leak it? Like, everybody is seeing her pretend for 2 weeks. No one's telling
but the
anybody.
movie's so good, you actually just buy into it. It's like, but Pretty Woman's the same way, where you're like, yeah, I think this would happen. He would fall in love with this hooker on Hollywood Boulevard.
Percent matters if the premise for a movie is absurd. If the
they pull
human
it off.
emotion works.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. What's age the worst? I have a lot.
Okay.
This is a good one. You'd still be able to do your job in 2025 with a broken leg. Easily.
Oh, remote work.
Right.
Remote work is like, she's fine.
Remote work
just on
ruins this movie.
LinkedIn
She's
and
on
remote
cell,
work
she's
ruins this
texting.
movie. I think she could be making phone calls and having ideas.
But
if she's like
she's
a
just
hard charging
boning the
M&A,
doctor.
yeah.
Also, why can't you fly home with a broken leg?
Yeah, that's
because she's boning her doctor.
That's the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
You got to be thankful for our medical innovations, Craig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I have
1988, you couldn't fly home with a
It was
broken
hard,
leg.
okay?
I have just about everyone's hair except Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
Probably
absolutely.
9 out of 10 hairdos, and even Duchovny. How women were treated in the workplace has not aged well. Someone reading Motor Trend magazine in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm positive that doesn't happen anymore.
It was the Lamborghini edition of Motor Trend magazine. Yeah.
Sad shots of the Staten Island Ferry.
It hasn't aged well.
No, just I don't know, ferries, like just
I had a colleague who, like an editor at Vanity Fair, and he used to say that he took the Staten Island Ferry in, and he would talk about how he could like hear Carly Simon like playing in his head when the ferry would come in.
Alec Baldwin, whatever look he has at this point in his career. So is he handsome in 1988? What's your relationship with him? Because to me, he looks like he'd be playing on the Pittsburgh Penguins.
He does, but it's like a
he looks like a hockey player.
It's a styling issue. The hair and the way that the amount of chest hair that is being like shown to us.
Yeah.
But in that the wedding scene, like where he's in the tux,
You're going handsome.
I mean, you see his face when he's clean shaven. I'm like, this is a very handsome man. You know,
he
and
looks
he's not
like
my type.
all three of his brothers at the same time.
Yeah.
And then he grew out of it and started to look like Alec Baldwin.
I think he's greaseball handsome.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on Tess not wiping the hot dog crumb off of Jack's mouth? Because it drives me crazy when I watch this
I think
movie.
it's tzatziki.
Oh,
Or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like whatever the white.
I like it. That
it's a
there.
nice touch.
Yeah, I really like
it.
that it's there.
Yeah.
But that she doesn't fix it.
They're not ready for that yet. They're not there. You know,
What do you make
she
of-
can't let her guard down yet.
What do you make of Jack not washing his hands after he uses the restroom, and then he does like one of these with his finger in his mouth at the
Didn't
wedding?
like that at all.
Yeah.
Didn't like that at all. What do you, Annie, what's age the worst? Other than everything we covered?
You know, Joe alluded to some of this, but sleeping together before you close the deal, it's like just, you know, girl boss wise, that's not what we would be doing anymore. You got to wait.
But a kiss so good you drop your briefcase.
That's fine. Is it fine? I don't know.
It's like they're consenting adults. I don't hate that.
It's also a little bit like I always feel this way when like Travis Kelce is reported to have like stayed at Taylor Swift's house the night before like a game. I'm like, oh, you guys have a big meeting the next day, like eyes on the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like
So she's just has high standards.
I see it.
the other thing I have is just like the concept of like of hard copies of making records of things,
Right.
like whether it's the dictaphone or the day planner.
Yeah.
Like great movie, you know, plot devices. but just really comes down to bite everyone in the ass. And
I
if
had
you're
the-
just doing
yeah.
this all on your phone where no one else has access, as
Catherine
long
never
as-
knows.
Yeah, you don't do the cloud. None
Yeah.
of this happens.
Yeah, it's true.
Never do the cloud.
Yeah. I really think he could have just left her dress on. That's all I'm saying. He carried
Okay.
her up the stairs, and that's great.
It's,
But then he had
listen,
no
you're right.
need to take her dress
You're
off.
right.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think we've solved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ruffalo Hannah Rubenek Partridge overacting word, clearly Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
I mean, he just
It's of an arbitrage.
all-time dial-up.
Yeah.
What do you have for a flex, Joanna?
Okay, I contemplated the Jamie Lee Curtis Unnecessary Nudity Award for the topless vacuuming,
Mhm.
but it's such
That
an
was mine.
yeah, it's okay. I mean, it's and apparently it was Melanie Griffith's idea.
Oh, I was going to
Yeah.
ask about that.
Yeah, apparently she was like, "This is what I would do," and Mike
Right.
Nichols was like, "Okay."
Just right out of the bender. Had to
Yeah.
Melanie Griffith was lit.
Yeah, she's just like, "I wouldn't put a shirt on." He's like, "Sounds great."
Amazing.
You do get overheated. You know, if
She's
you're
in
like really
heels.
going for the vacuuming.
Why is she
You
in
know?
heels?
No reason.
Well, that's just to feel glamorous.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you need it.
But I am gonna get my actual word is the okay motherfucker exact moment when the movie goes up a notch, and it's at 36 minutes and 4 seconds when Harrison Ford aims his lopsided smile at Melanie Griffith's legs and enters the story. That's
Yeah.
it. 36 minutes,
Nice.
4 seconds in.
Nice tight close up.
Yeah.
He looks great.
And he just gives the little lopsided Harrison Ford smile, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
I like it. The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford. Hottest take a word. Amanda gave hers. What do you have?
I had this should have won Best Picture over Rain Man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agree.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure that's a hot take.
Great.
Okay.
That's my tepid take.
No, I think you're right.
Okay.
I really worked on this one. I feel like I've done this before.
I'm just getting my posture ready.
The Pointer Sisters, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Is secretly the most important pop culture song of all time.
Okay.
It's in National Lampoon's Vacation in a pivotal Christy Brinkley scene.
Right.
It's in Beverly Hills Cop.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's in, we covered this in the Miami Vice Calderon's Revenge episode. The
Yeah.
only TV show we've ever done, the Rewatchables, me and CR. It is an absolutely crucial point in
Okay.
this Miami Vice episode.
Yeah.
That's one of the most important episodes of the 80s.
Yeah.
It's in the second best. The NBA had these It's Fantastic commercials that they ran that really made the league
Okay.
more likable. And the best one ever was One-on-One with Hall & Oates, where they would just show all these slow motion. The second best one ever was I'm So Excited with Pointer Sisters.
Was
Okay.
it also the 80s?
80s.
Yeah.
So my question is it
Working
the most,
Girl,
Are you
80s.
are
Is
you
it the
going to
most
build a
important
bridge
song?
to our generation?
yeah, most important
Well,
song
so
of all
that's-
time or
Yeah.
of that decade?
I said pop culture
Yeah.
for the 20th century.
Yeah.
I'll go there because it's hottest take.
Yeah.
Because you have Working Girl, important,
Yeah.
and everything culminates in the Saved by the Bell
Thank
caffeine
you.
pills
Okay.
episode.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
This is a 10-year run.
She's
and
so
it's
scared.
10 years.
Yeah.
It's 10 years of this goes into major movies, major TV shows, and the NBA. The
And then-
same song.
and Elizabeth Berkley.
Yeah.
6 times.
Yeah.
It's a great take.
Thank you.
I love it.
Really good.
Casting What Ifs.
Okay.
At one point, this movie was supposed to be directed by Jim Bridges, starring Demi Moore.
Absolutely
And
not.
Demi Moore, if she's Jules in St. Elmo's Fire, like, I'm not saying better than Melanie Griffith. I'm just saying I'm not giving it a chance. Raspy,
The
kind of looks like
raspy
she's been out
voice.
the night before.
Yeah.
Little puffy face.
I can see it.
I could see
But
it.
that version was
Amanda's horrified.
No,
a very
it's-
different
I am horrified.
movie, I
mean,
think.
it's hard for me to imagine anyone but Melanie Griffith, but also Demi Moore, I've realized is sort of like the generational divide for me. Like I've seen all the movies. They were handed down to me, but I was not conscious
You
when
never
she was
buying
like Demi Moore, like the big star.
It would be Jules from St. Elmo's Fire,
Yeah,
Demi Moore.
And so I was learning about it all after the fact. And I would say like her biggest celebrity moment to me is still the Vanity Fair
Yeah,
cover
Vanity Fair
where
cover.
she's
Yeah.
like very
100%.
pregnant.
So you're later and
Yeah, so I don't always like get it. You know?
so the reason I think it would have worked is because 80s Demi Moore, who was battling a lot of the same stuff Melanie
Yeah.
Griffith was, I think brings some baggage into it.
Would you also have a scene where she's alone in a room with just a fan on her as she is in St. Elmo's Fire?
With all the windows open.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
Molly Ringwald, apparently audition was deemed too young. I mean, they auditioned everybody, including they thought about Michelle Pfeiffer and Madonna. Scott Rudin was running Fox, which I don't think I knew, and was really pushing for Shelley Long, who was red hot on Cheers. They
Okay.
squashed that. Lorraine Bracco wrote in her memoir that she thought she nailed the audition and didn't get it. That was mildly interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could
I would
see
love
it.
Lorraine Bracco in this movie.
Yeah.
She does Someone to Watch Over Me right around the same time. Nichols finally said, fuck it. I'm dropping out if we don't hire Melanie Griffith. So they do the casting credits thing. Then there's this whole weird Lawrence Kasdan he was testing that accidental tourist part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gina Davis and Melanie Griffith are both for the part. And Scott Rudin says, if she tests for another movie, she's out for Working Girl. And this executive producer, Carlisle, tells Melanie Griffith, whoever plays Muriel in Accidental Tourist could win the Academy Award, and whoever does Working Girl will be a star. This is in the oral history from 30 years later. And then she says, I want to be a star. It goes for Working Girl. And then at the Academy Awards, for whatever reason, Melanie Griffith hands the Oscar to Gina Davis. She's the one presenting it.
Accidental
For
Tourist.
the other part,
Okay.
she didn't go for.
And I would just say that
Whole
Gina
little-
Davis was both an Oscar winner and a star. So that wasn't the
Yeah.
top
Listen,
tier advice.
You're
but-
talking to somebody who bought Gina Davis stock as early as it could go.
Yeah.
She was just buried in Fletch. We argued about this on Fletch, and it's the maddest CR's ever been on a Rewatchables. That Gina Davis should have been the lead in Fletch, not Dana Will or Nicholson. And
Oh, okay.
CR got really mad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Can I just add a few more casting what ifs?
Yeah, because I couldn't tell how much was 100% true, but go.
I sort of cross-checked that THR thing that you
Yeah.
pulled from, and also the Nichols biography. Whoopi Goldberg was someone they were
Oh,
considering because
interesting.
Nichols,
I didn't see that
one.
Nichols did her
Yeah.
stand-up show. Goldie Hawn.
Too old.
Was she too old at that
Was she
point?
She's
too
too
old,
old.
lady?
She's too old at that point.
Okay.
'Cause she did Private
Private
Benjamin in
Benjamin.
1980.
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like in her 40s at that point.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan, maybe. I don't know if she
Yeah.
could have pulled off the accent and the baggage part.
And not the sex appeal in the same way. This
No.
movie has a lot of sex
Yeah.
in it
Yeah.
for a romantic comedy.
Cher.
No.
Thanks for coming.
Are you not? You're not a Moonstruck person?
You don't like Moonstruck?
Just
Oh,
share.
okay.
No.
All right. Okay.
Um,
Wow.
Not for
Wow.
this. Not for this.
Not you don't like
No,
mermaids?
I agree with you.
She brings too much share.
It's
She's
also
still
like
Cher. She
I
was like
like-
one of the most
Cher,
famous
and
people of the
just-
70s.
I don't think
I love Moonstruck.
I love Moonstruck
Mermaids.
as well. Incredibly
Silkwood.
important. Yeah. Why did
But the
I
part
see
you
mermaids in a
guys-
theater
So
when I was like 5?
Cher was like incredibly famous in the 80s.
Yeah. No, I
think
agree
she's
with
too
you.
famous.
I completely agree with you for this role. I
I was a big Sonny and Cher guy. I was a kid.
I thought that was a reaction to Moonstruck, and I was a little concerned.
no,
but
Moonstruck's good.
wonderful. Yeah.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wouldn't buy her as Tess.
Agree.
Best that guy. Oliver Platt counts according to Craig's rule that just because we call him Oliver Platt, that doesn't mean anyone under 35 knows who Oliver Platt is.
Okay.
But that's not the winner of this. It's either the bad guy from Beverly Hills Cop 3, who's one of the two people Trask.
Right.
Yeah.
who- I don't even know what that guy's name is, but I'm like, hey, it's the bad guy
That's
from
a good
Beverly Hills
one.
Cop 3. Or that guy who worked for the evil law firm in Philadelphia and had second thoughts about maybe ratting out Jason Robards. And then on the stand, it kind of is on
What
the
role
Tom
is
Hanks
he
side.
in this?
He's just in the movie. And I was like,
Oh,
that
Okay.
guy.
That guy.
Huh.
So I almost feel like that makes him the winner because I don't even remember what part he played
Know
in this
his
movie.
name.
Yeah.
What about Caroline Aaron, who plays Dr. Marsha Fieldstone in Sleepless in Seattle and is also the mom on The
Ooh.
Marvelous Mrs.
Oh,
Maisel?
that's a
Oh,
great
it's a
one.
really,
Yeah.
really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deion Waiter's award. Joan Cusack eligible.
Okay.
I don't think she's in it that
Really?
much. She's
Let
she
me
in it
ask
for
you-
12 minutes.
Joan Cusack would be a classic Deion Winters. May I ask if Carly Simon is eligible?
She's not eligible.
Okay. Well,
What about Olympia Dukakis?
I thought I was doing something.
Eligible?
She's great.
Yeah.
Nora Dunn,
Olympia Dukakis in
Oliver
one
Platt,
scene.
Yeah.
Spacey.
Robert Easton, who plays Armbruster, who is the guy in the deal with the Colonel Sanders beard
Oh, sure.
and
Yeah,
accent,
yeah.
has
He's-
one scene and he's
he's
just like,
Metro's owner.
yeah, Metro's owner. Yeah. The Memphis.
I think the answer is
contingent.
probably Nora Dunn.
She's very good. She's
Nora
very
Dunn's great.
threatening. Yeah.
Yeah.
That she was also really good at that specific kind of part.
Yeah.
Recasting couch director City. What's her name? Danucci. What's that?
Doreen.
Doreen
D-
Dun-
D-
Okay.
Damucci?
Damucci. Yeah.
Yeah, could we have snuck like a young Marissa Tomei in that part? Or could we
Love
have gotten
it.
like an actual
Yeah,
famous
yeah.
actress?
Mira
Yes.
Sorvino.
Yeah. Mira
love it.
Sorvino. Somebody with
I
a little
accept.
wow, that she played.
Doreen
Yeah.
Damucci?
Yeah.
Wow.
Half-assed in her research. We did a lot of these, but my favorites. Melanie Griffith revealed in a 2017 interview that she repeatedly made passes at Alec Baldwin, and he said no thanks, and it hurt her feelings. But I think he thought she was a little hot mess express.
And he was also like, I know Dawn's just waiting in the wings to remarry you.
Yeah, no question. There's a Bob's Burgers episode about this and Die Hard. That's apparently a famous Bob Burgers episode. My kids used to love that.
Okay.
You mentioned the Mike Nichols thing, and then the lobby of 7 World Trade Centers in this too. So it's in this multiple times.
Can I read you an excerpt from the New York Times, 1989, written by Maureen Dowd?
Oh, boy.
George Bush ended his first week as president by having some friends over to the family quarters of the White House on Friday night for beef pie, whatever that is, and a screening of the movie Working Girl. He warned his guests, a mix of prominent Democrats and Republicans, that he had heard that the film about a Wall Street Cinderella had some, quote, dirty parts, so they had better watch out.
Ooh.
Meat pie.
Beef pie with George H.W. Bush. His first week as president, he said, let's watch Working Girl.
I like some beef pie and Working Girl.
Hearing George H.W. Bush say the words dirty parts out loud is not.
Also beef pie.
Like, makes me really, really unhappy.
To have either.
Wow. Apex Mountain. I'm going to say yes for Melanie Griffith.
I agree. It really it's
Carly Simon.
It goes downhill very quickly from here. And like, I didn't really remember.
So you
because she's
don't
so
love
big
Milk
to me.
Money?
The 90s were...
She's really
now
good at
and then.
Nobody's Fool.
90s are bad for her.
Yeah.
I really like Pacific Heights.
I mean, me too, but you know.
Harrison Ford, no. I think there's a Sigourney Weaver case. She's nominated in 2 categories at the same time. It's 2 years after Aliens. It just feels like she never had more juice than she did in 1988. It's a big. She's about to make Ghostbusters 2. She's probably the most bankable actress.
Don't you think that
Hollywood
like Aliens might be?
Yeah, I would say
that's
it
right.
has to be.
Right before.
It has to be like
it's somewhere in there. It's somewhere from Aliens
it's
to here.
Near.
Yeah,
it's near. It's in the range.
Female struggling in the workplace movies?
No, those are evergreen.
Yeah, we're all just all doing our best every day, Bill.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the best one.
It's one of my favorites. I mean, it broadcast news.
Yeah,
Fatal Attraction. Yeah,
Broadcast News is a good one.
Yeah, and they're all in the same.
You know what? The
area.
answer is Devil Wears Prada.
It
because
is.
That's the best movie of all
Can
time.
you believe they're making a sequel? I'm beside myself with joy.
Oh, I thought you were going to say beside myself with anger.
No. I don't care. It's like, fine. All the nerds have gotten us, no offense, have gotten all of their movies forever. Like, give me all of it. You know?
Do you want like 9 Devil Wears Prada?
I would watch a TV show. I would watch a novel. I have a really important the novels. Question. I've read the original, but
are they getting Tucci?
Yeah.
Are they getting
back.
Blunt?
Yeah.
Everyone.
I don't know about Blunt, but I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Hathaway looks incredible these days.
She does.
She's a great,
She got a brand new face.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Great job by her.
Yeah.
My daughter.
I think they're just new eyebrows.
It's the whole.
Well, yeah.
My kids who don't consume my content at all, and actively disparage me at all times.
Sure. Okay.
My daughter does like the Rewatchables and listens to it, and she thinks the Devil Wears Prada one is one of the best podcasts ever recorded.
Zoe, thank you so much. I do think
Amanda was on that podcast.
That was it was me, Juliette, and Bill. I
love it.
It was one of the first Rewatchables where we were like, this is probably where the show is going.
I was freaking out a little. I do think it was my professional peak, but like, and this is pretty close, you know, in terms of things I've worked hard for my whole life.
We did that. It was in the first year. I'm looking up.
Yeah, it was
Devil Wears
it was
Prada.
in the office on the couches.
Yeah, we did that. I'm going to say within the first.
I hope it's okay for me to say that Amanda said.
Oh no, we did that later.
This is more important than giving birth to your children. This podcast episode.
Well,
I said more fun.
More fun.
More enjoyable.
Yeah, just as an experience.
Yeah,
you know.
Mike Nichols, Apex Mountain, no. Graduate.
Yeah, I think so. He wins the Oscar.
I mean, he made The Graduate.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
When finding movies of the 60s. Carly Simon, I'm going to say no.
You don't think so?
I don't know. She was.
You're So Vain is the whole
thing. She
was
killing it in the 70s.
Yeah.
You're So Vain was like probably one of the biggest single songs of the 70s from a female artist, right? And also like led to 50 years of who was she talking about in the song dialogue.
Fair.
Yeah.
The Staten Island Ferry?
I had that. That was mine. It is totally the Apex Mountain for
It has to be, right?
100%.
Never got better for the ferry.
All right.
My son is really into transportation, so I was like, how will I show him Staten Island Ferry? Just pulled up Let the River Run, watched it, wrapped.
Colin Jost and Pete Davidson bought it, apparently.
Yeah, but they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
So.
that's not Apex Mountain.
Devastating.
Bony Asses? Just being
yes.
used repeatedly
Yes,
as a disparaging term?
Sure.
Memorable.
And sleazoid. Yeah.
All right, that's probably
What
good.
about 80s hair in a movie?
80s hair in a movie. It's probably
And like a because I do
there's
think
music
some
videos
of the like
I think that do it better.
yeah, like White Snake music videos and like Mad Max stuff like that. But in terms of like a less extreme version, I think you might have something there. You know, like this is just supposed to look normal. In a music video, you're going for something
I
extreme.
have to think about it more. I feel like there's some 85 range high school movies that are probably 86 range.
But it kind of has become the shorthand for it. Like maybe Apex Mountain for shoulder pads.
Also, Cusack's eye makeup.
Yeah. You can't overstate how much these people look like aliens. Like every 15 minutes, Liz and I were like, man, the hair.
But the clothes are back.
Yeah,
totally. And like working girl is the reference in all the copy of like get your inner, whatever on with this suit.
Unleash your inner
Craig, you have a flex category.
I was gonna do the vacuuming naked. I'll do a pseudo hot take. I think Jack Traynor?
Yeah.
I think he's a little creepy in the beginning of this film. And I know that everyone's in on it. And I like Harrison Ford. I like the character eventually. I feel like they were still figuring it out. The first scene, it's like cheating on his girlfriend. I guess he wanted to get out, but like the back-to-back double shot of tequila.
Yeah.
Doesn't say his name.
Takes her home, takes the dress off. And then the next day is like dinner and a movie. I'm like, this guy's coming on a little hot.
You forgot about he did buy her a briefcase though.
Also weird.
Yeah.
Super weird. A gift the next morning is like huge red flag.
As always, the timelines are an issue here because they say I love you within 4 days.
The I love
this
you
entire
is,
movie
the I love
takes
you is
the span of like
way
5
too fast.
days.
I had that in Picking Nits. That L-bomb is coming.
For sure. That I love you
so
is
fast.
out of
For sure.
Sometimes you know.
He is
it's like Amanda and Zach knew right away.
Yeah, that's true. He is a pretty sleazy. He's supposed to be a sleazy Wall Street guy.
But he starts as sleazy, and then by halfway into the movie, he's like dopey.
I think that like I think
it's called character shading. You know?
I really think that
Craig's
if he had
just jealous.
kept her dress on, I can defend almost all of it.
I'm with Bill's mom on this.
Not saying your name is weird. Are you Jack? No, I don't know who Jack is.
He like whispers the double shot to the bartender.
Yeah, that part is a little weird.
Oh, not great.
Yeah.
Then again, he didn't know about the milligrams.
Yeah,
so,
it wasn't his fault.
Yeah, that is. He did whisper double shot.
Yeah.
This man was a menace.
Sex pest, Jack Traynor.
Cruz or Hanks?
Okay. It's Hanks.
It is Hanks.
It has to be Hanks.
Yeah. The height thing that you mentioned earlier, but Cruz is just too powerful in 88.
Who's ahead at this point, Craig?
Hanks.
Hanks is ahead. Okay.
By like 3 or 4.
Scorsese or Spielberg?
Marty. Yeah.
Really? I had Spielberg.
Cocaine Wall Street?
Yeah. I mean,
Marty.
he did it with
It's
Wolf
a
of Wall Street.
different movie.
It's a very different movie.
It's way more of the last shot of the film. Yeah.
Okay.
I would watch
All right.
Marty's
It would be
Working
great.
Girl. It would be wonderful.
What role would Philip Seymour Hoffman have played? Probably Spacey.
Oh, I was going to say Oliver Platt.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
This is his Scent of a Woman
Yeah.
vibe.
Picking nits that we haven't done yet.
Okay. Tess wears all white to the wedding. That's just rude. You know. Come
Also,
on.
how does
Even
she
I know that. And she's trying to blend in, man.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, how does she know what the dress code is also? Because she's wearing like sort of a business suit
Right. Well,
to
it's more like
a daytime tiki wedding.
a mother of the bride type.
She's wearing
suit.
something that Jack conceivably thinks they could just be going to a lunch for, and they're going to
Right. Though I did notice
the wedding
I
of
think
like
he's wearing black tie. He's not wearing a tuxedo, but I like the tie is a very dark color, which would suggest that even though he thought he was going to a 3 o'clock lunch, he was also wearing black tie, which is confusing.
I have Why Didn't Anyone Wonder Why Tess was in her boss's office so much?
Yes.
As number one.
Yeah.
That
I can
just
buy
is,
the- I can
2
buy-
days in. It's
Right.
like, what's going on with Tess?
here's what I can buy. I can buy the boss is not like paying enough attention to notice, and I can buy the secretary's covering for her.
But why is the door always closed?
Right.
She's watering the plants.
No, it's
Yeah.
People are talking by Wednesday. What kind of broken leg did Sigourney have where she's good in 3 weeks? She's goes from bedridden to just like
She just has a cane.
hobbling around.
I don't know. You're the sports expert.
It's one or the other. It's like if you're bedridden for 3 weeks, you're coming out of there and you have like one of those like huge
Like a
braces
walking thing. Yeah.
What? Did they have those brace things yet? in the 80s? Again, our scientific
like,
achievements.
Was it?
Were we just killing people when they broke their legs at that point?
She had
Out of their
a really
misery?
giant plaster. But I don't remember, when like kids breaking their arms or legs, I don't remember like the flexi casts.
No.
Yeah.
It went from a broken leg to a torn MCL.
Yeah.
The way they're treating it.
She just had the
Yeah,
cane
I
at the
just
end,
don't get
which
it.
was like when Jack shows up to her apartment when Melanie Griffith is hiding in the closet and he's like trying not to get like drawn into her and he's just like, oh, you're cast and like knocks on it. He's like, whoa, look at that.
He's so good.
Sure is broken.
Yeah.
I think Catherine would just be suing everybody right away at the end of this movie.
We don't know if she gets fired even.
Well, Oren Trask says that he's going to make sure she gets fired, which once again,
It's like, why am I getting fired? My
does he-
secretary pretended to be me for 4 months.
I don't
What
think
did I
he
do
can get
wrong?
Well, maybe in the 80s he could get her fired, but I do think
My
she's a
big
legal
mistake
hit.
was taking credit for my assistant's
I mean,
idea.
get her bony ass out of his sight, but I don't
still
know that he
do
can get her
ask,
fired.
Like my impression of mergers and acquisitions in the 80s is not that you could just transfer down from Boston and immediately go on vacation.
Yeah.
So, and listen, I believe in vacation and work-life balance and all that, but like she's just very absent. So do they
How
want her?
long was Tess working for her before she went on vacation?
Like
2 days? Yeah.
Is that true?
enough to get the dim sum party.
Yeah. I feel like it might have been a couple weeks.
But yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
maybe 10 days.
Yeah. She might have been like a couple weeks on the job and she's like, I already had the ski vacation planned.
I guess.
Do
But
you not think it's weird that she was expecting, Catherine was expecting to be proposed to on this trip?
Yes.
Her boyfriend bails.
Yes.
And she just still goes and is skiing alone.
No,
weird.
that's a
It feels like it's going to be
mechanism.
the first of 3 or 4 marriages for her. is
I
how
also feel
think
like
we're
she had
supposed to-
sex with her doctor.
yeah, they
But
do
like,
suggest
you
that.
wouldn't reschedule the trip with your fiance to Germany? You go on it?
Yeah.
I guess
It's a lot of
he makes it seem like
now Amanda's on defense.
Yeah, no, it's true. Listen,
Amanda's squarely now. She's like, wait, guys,
But like
this is too
she
much.
knew so many
it's a great
people
point.
there. Like it's not like she was gonna go and be alone. She knew like the guy who ran the hotel, and then her hotel room was just like the biggest party room.
It
you've
just
ever
feels like
seen.
if Amanda was like, I think Zach and I are going to get engaged in Germany. And then Zach's like, I
Yeah.
can't go, I have work. I don't think she's getting on the plane and spending the money for that vacation.
if I had the money, maybe.
I think Catherine
Maybe.
Parker has so much money that it
I
doesn't
have
matter.
my biggest nitpick we mentioned earlier, and I don't think we hit it hard enough.
Yeah.
I don't understand the Alec Baldwin having sex with Dominic DeNucci, whatever her name was.
Doreen.
Yeah,
Doreen
Put
DeNucci.
respect on Doreen's
Yeah,
name.
Doreen.
I just don't understand the scene.
You don't think you would cheat on Tess?
No class? No class.
Life was different in the 80s. I'm not here to judge. Things happen. Maybe adultery was a little more common. I don't understand.
You don't think a guy reading Motor Trend who gets his girlfriend trashy lingerie on her birthday is
3 days
fucking
later
around on her?
It's like he doesn't think she's coming home. He's
She
doing
has
it in his
class.
bed.
Yeah, she has class.
She has class.
She walks in. It's just, and then he thinks it's going to be fine 3 days later, and he's still like,
not only
let's
that,
get
but Joan
married.
Cusack
I
thinks
mean,
it's going to be fine.
I just have some issues. I just tell, like, if that was my wife walking in
Yeah.
10 years later, that's it. Like, she's moving out. It's not
Yeah,
even a
of course.
question of,
The issue is at the party when he is,
it's like, are we still,
egged
is there
into
still something here?
proposing.
Yeah.
And then he proposes in front of everyone, which like just,
But it's
don't
4
take the
days
bait.
after the adultery.
I really, that's insane. And then she just doesn't just lie. Just lie, I mean, that doesn't make for a good movie.
I
but,
liked Maybe. I think Maybe is fair
that's,
enough.
That's a good movie.
And then
scene.
he's mad. He's like, you embarrassed me back there.
Yeah.
It's like, you
Yeah.
motherfucker. You were just
Agreed.
getting
But
rid in our
that's-
bed by the
I
Dominic DeNucci.
genuinely believe that those are the gender politics of that
Maybe.
culture in
Also,
that time.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Wouldn't
right.
the whole friend group know that he cheated on her? And they're all like, say yes.
This would have
Yeah.
been a bigger deal.
Right, yeah.
But they're like, no, I disagree.
I mean, even when Joan
And Denise
Cusack,
is there.
Joan Cusack brings her stuff to the office,
And she's like,
just, like
throw him a
defending
bone.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't like you.
I
So
feel
this
like
is just the 80s.
I think it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like
It's like, he couldn't
guys
keep it in his
cheat. Guys,
pants that night.
guys will be guys, boys being boys.
The best
Baldwins
scene,
will be Baldwins.
the sneaky best scene in the movie is in that moment in the bar when they meet, when Melanie Griffith and Baldwin kind of meet for the first time, and they're just sitting at the corner of the bar. He's slamming scotch, and he's like, I got the boat loan. And she's like, oh my God, congrats.
And then he brings up the boat again at the wedding.
Yeah,
It's
Dorian's working the phone.
The boat loan.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
What does he do? Like, so is it like boat tours? It's like, what is, he's booked for 3
know.
weeks.
It's like the arbitrage of boats.
Yeah.
I'll never understand it.
Honestly, they should have made him like high school hockey coach or something.
Okay.
He should have been a high
Is
school
hockey
coach.
big on
or
Staten Island?
I don't
high
think he
school
should be
baseball.
anywhere near high school kids.
Oh,
Nick.
that's fair. Baseball, whatever.
I think he should be like a used car salesman. That's Nick's energy.
Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast or untouchable. This is untouchable. to me.
Untouchable.
I don't know how you'd
Even though
redo
I guess
this.
they made
Did
a
a
Yeah, they
TV
did
show.
make a TV show.
Yeah.
Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Doris Burke, Sam Jackson, Nell, Byron Mayo, Barney Cousins, Tony Romo, Harling Mays, Chris Collinsworth, Daniel Plainview, Longlegs, or Wilford Brimley in The Firm? I was thinking, I'm not going to do Chris's Wilford Brimley, but
heartbreak.
it would be funny if, like, bringing the photos to Catherine. It's like, Catherine, here's your fiance, oral and whatnot. And he's just doing the whole,
It would be really
showing
good.
the photos.
I would love it.
Yeah.
Wilford would
I
be good.
accept.
Just one Oscar, who gets it?
Well, Carly Simon did get one. So
I really don't
Was
think
it the
you're
right one?
putting enough respect on Joan Cusack in supporting.
Okay.
$6,000 and it's not even
Yeah.
leather?
I do like the Madonna
Yeah.
thing where she's like, I
that's really
sing
good.
and dance.
Yeah, doesn't make me Madonna. Like, I think this is what a supporting actress Oscar should be.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's
a
just
really
not the type of part that
fun-
normally wins a
That's
nomination. You
Not
know what I mean?
necessarily true. I just think that, like, you know, your Mira Sorvinos and your Marissa Tomei's, you know, like
Fair.
It's true.
I just
can
didn't
see
see that
it.
in the movie enough, though. I don't know. I thought if you're going to take some of the spots that got taken, like is Susan Sarandon and Bull Durham, like
That
come
is
on.
true. That she's very good in that.
what do you say for this?
Melanie Griffith,
Okay. I'm open to it.
but I still think Glenn Close should have won that year.
Yeah.
Carly Simon's fine.
It's a good one.
Rom-com gospel, I'm here for.
Yeah.
Probably unanswerable questions. I have 3. Do you guys have any?
I have
one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What do the lyrics of Let the River Run mean?
The New Jerusalem?
Well, I mean, I understand what that means, but let me read it.
Which
to you.
river are we talking about?
Trembling, shaking.
It's there for the taking. Let the river run.
We're coming to the edge, running out of water.
Right.
Coming to the edge.
Your eyes are the color of blue that you've only never seen in the eyes of your lover or whatever. Okay, the sky is the color of blue. Okay, so they're going somewhere. They're building a city.
I think it ties back into your whole like immigrant.
I mean, I think that's right, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying it's not like the most evocative poetry that I have ever read.
Is it a New York river or just a river
a symbolic
of life?
river,
Hudson-
Symbolic
and
river.
energy.
It's the Hudson River.
It's an energetic river.
It's the Hudson River.
So the
Okay.
answer, I
Yeah,
have an answer.
Let the
Yeah.
Hudson River
There's
run.
just an incredible amount of cocaine going on in the 80s. And at some point at 5 a.m, these lyrics made a ton of sense.
Mhm. Right.
And they just kind of ran with it.
trembling, shaking. Oh, my heart is aching is an
Is very
accurate
cocaine.
representation
Yeah,
of what's
that's
happening.
5:30 in the morning when
Yeah.
that was
Okay.
written. What do you have, Joanna?
Okay, it's not what did Jack ever see in Catherine Parker because it's Sigourney Weaver, but how did that ever progress beyond just like we have sex a couple times into
Just corporate arrangement.
Well, yeah,
She's
I
just
think it's
so
sort
terrible.
of like social business climate.
It
Yeah.
just reflects poorly on him,
Yeah,
and
it
it
does.
underlines Craig's point that
I-
maybe Jack Traynor is
Listen,
not
he's
the
a-
best guy we've ever met.
He's a sleazoid too until he's not, you know?
It's like if Sean was single and he just started dating like the CEO's daughter of Letterboxd. And it's like, I don't trust Sean's intentions. What's he up to?
Marriage is it's
Yeah.
a business contract.
By the way, I was going to make a big deal about starting a Letterboxd account.
Yeah.
I'm like because I refused to do it
Yeah.
and start it, and then all the movies would be completely fucking weird.
Okay. Yeah.
Be
yeah.
like Cinemax movies from the
Mhm.
90s, and just every choice would be
Yeah.
weird, and people would be
Okay.
like, "What's going on with that guy? No movie would be good." I've been
That's a good
thinking about
idea.
it. Yeah.
Why is this a what if? Why
Yeah.
aren't you doing this
I
already?
might do it.
I did start a Letterboxd profile, and then I don't use it because it's just like way too much homework. But it's not a picture of me, obviously, because like, what are we doing? It is a picture
Is
of
Zach getting you coffee?
No, it's
Oh.
Melanie Griffith in the
Oh,
red glasses from
Working
Working Girl.
Girl. Look at
Is my
you.
icon.
I love
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah.
All right, here are my 3 unanswerable
I also
questions.
have a letterbox I don't use.
It's just like I'm gonna log
Yeah,
everything.
it's
Listen,
a lot.
you know, I got a life.
One of these is going to make you both mad.
Okay.
Dim sum dumplings at an office party.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, it's the steam
I think
does not work with
I
her
think
hair.
you
Yeah.
just can't. They're not passed. You
They're
need
not
like
passed.
a table.
Yeah.
You need to dip them. Now I have sauce. I'm dripping sauce on my shirt. I
Right.
have bad breath. I'm getting
What about one of the
stuff
little
stuck in my teeth.
You know, the spoon and the dumplings with
It's
the
a
sauce,
no.
and then
It's
you
a
do
flat no. And not a lot of people like dumplings. It's
What's
a
your-
bad
Oh, I
choice.
like
What's
them.
your number one top tier party food?
Yeah.
Look, there's
Past
a lot.
hors d'oeuvre.
Past
I'm just
hors d'oeuvre?
saying, dim sum dumpling. You want past hors d'oeuvres to be check
You
the
want
most
some like
boxes for
salmon
the
and
people in
creme
the room.
fraiche on some puff pastry?
No.
Is that what you're looking for?
Best one I ever had was coconut shrimp at my friend Tim and Jen's
Coconut
wedding.
shrimp's good. Not everyone needs shrimp. I mean, it's hard.
It's
You're never
true.
going to land the
you know.
pigs in the blanket is always good if
what
it's
about
the right
the,
one.
had
That's
those-
what about
smaller.
the
That was my one request
Swedish
of the
meatballs,
wedding plan.
In-N-Out
Little crab
burger
cakes.
at a Vanity Fair Oscar party.
You have to hold the burger. though.
Yeah.
That's also
it's a
so
lot.
big. A slider is better.
Yeah, slider
Went
is
to a
better.
wedding recently with little mini lobster rolls, like an inch big on pretzel rolls.
I think you
That
can
was
do dumplings, just not hot piping freshly steamed ones.
Yeah.
That are dripping. Craig, what are your thoughts?
That's fair. I think you could do a pot sticker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small
Pot
pot,
sticker.
sticker. You get
Yeah,
away
yeah.
with
Pot
Some
sticker, way more
shumai.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah.
favorite party hors d'oeuvre?
Pigs in a blanket, undefeated.
Yeah, pigs in a
Too
blanket.
It's
good.
true. It's true.
All guys, you're getting 50% of the room
You're getting meat.
immediately.
Yeah.
Plus maybe 25% of
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the room.
Yeah.
So you're batting 75%.
Pigs in a blanket are good for people who like are never going to eat a hot dog, but they kind of miss eating a hot dog, and they're like,
Totally.
"Oh, I can have a pigs in a
They're
blanket."
so
Yeah,
good.
There's some split up buffalo chicken finger stuff you could do
Yeah.
with like the toothpicks.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Well,
you could dip it, not dip it. Maybe there's some
I
blue
mean,
cheese.
the Chick-fil-A party platter is the Amanda Dobbins signature. Yeah, you were there. You can come next year.
All right.
Everyone's invited. Holiday party.
Honestly, I was in awe.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was in awe.
Yeah.
It was one of the smartest party things I've ever seen.
Listen, and it's because when growing up in Atlanta, you go to a boring holiday party, Chick-fil-A
Super
platter.
easy to eat. They
Yeah.
kept coming out.
Yeah.
People are getting a little drunker, and then all of a sudden you just see like four guys like
Yeah.
it checked all the boxes.
It's undefeated.
There's probably none left at the end of the night.
No.
Yeah. All right. My second unanswerable question. Does Harrison Ford ever actually have sex in movies? Just presumed innocent. I couldn't think of
Okay.
what
even
about-
another
what
movie
about
where he
What
had
Lies Beneath?
sex. Doesn't though.
Don't
It's like
they-
a lot
yeah,
of like
it's-
kissing, but not.
No, doesn't he have sex with?
Well, I mean, he
Anna
hasn't
Valletta?
done it. Like, what are we defining
What about-
as? Does he actually have sex in a movie? You know, we're sort of
Yeah,
getting technical here.
frantic,
Not to
no.
Mallory this out.
Witness,
but-
it's a lot
like,
of like
just-
longing and lusting, but
So are you talking about like, is he disrobed in the bed?
I think it was a very intentional choice from the moment he was Han Solo on
Yeah.
to be like, there's a line, like, I'm not going to be in Fatal Attraction fucking Glenn Close against the
Okay.
kitchen
So,
sink.
Oh.
so
If there's
basically
a
like
line,
a
I'm not
bare butt
frantic.
situation.
Presumed innocent.
That's
Well,
it.
that's
That
what
was the
he
only
said.
one
Oh,
he
you
said.
said it?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
the
Yeah.
only time where he really gets it on with somebody. Other than that,
He's
not really.
shirtless. He so you're just talking about like sex scenes.
Yeah. Like Michael Douglas.
Well, sure, but
Not only
Michael,
have sex
yeah,
scenes, but
Michael
he'll, like,
Douglas,
his
but,
balls will be
Michael
flapping
Douglas made
around.
his career on
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
the first Michael Douglas movie I ever saw was American President, and then I went backwards. Can you
Oh.
imagine?
Oh, my Lord.
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
no.
still
Like
am
Harrison
just-
Ford's never going to be the cop in Basic Instinct.
No.
I guess
No.
is my point. All right. I think it was an intentional choice. All right. This is probably the one that makes you mad.
Okay.
Probably unanswerable questions is
Uh-huh.
the category.
Yeah.
Are we sure Tess isn't the villain of this movie?
You
She
could play it that way.
steals her boss's boyfriend and job,
Okay, rebuttal.
and
The
steals it
boyfriend
just
was going to
because
leave her
feelings are hurt.
anyway. The boyfriend was going to leave just because her
Just talking
feelings
it
were
out.
hurt. No, she was stealing her idea and passing it off as
It's
her
her
own.
idea. She worked for her.
But she's lying to her about it. She's like,
Yeah,
nice
it's her
idea.
boss.
Yeah.
Okay,
just talking it
okay,
out.
Okay, Bill.
Well,
this is good information.
No,
to have.
I'm talking it out. I'm talking it out. I'm trying to defend Sigourney Weaver.
Keep your good ideas close to
I
your
mean,
vest.
The
Sigourney Weaver-
assistant works for her. The assistant is assisting her,
Yeah.
has an idea, and she says, you know what? I'm going to tuck that one away, not tell anyone. Goes skiing, breaks her leg, and then this person takes her entire life.
Right.
Hard disagree. I understand that, like, if you're
That's
the
why
boss,
it's unanswerable.
if you're the boss and you're like, I like your idea, I will be leading this deal. That's fine because you're the boss. You're not going to say, hey, Tess, you lead this deal. It's your idea. She's the boss. She can lead it. but you don't lie to her and say,
the dictaphone where she's like hard copy from the home computer. Do not go through Tess.
Let Tess know.
Suggest.
And then like
fair counter.
Good counter. And it's so patronizing to her. And she's like, I really tried.
Yeah.
It didn't
it's a
go.
two-way street. And if you had seen this, you simply would have asked me about it.
Obviously I've been in charge of some stuff. One of the best things you can do is if somebody works for you and they have a good idea, you then give them credit after the fact that they had the idea.
Yeah. Yes.
With that said, she did steal her job and her man in this movie.
Didn't steal her job.
No, she got a different job.
Tess doesn't get the corner office.
She stole the merger. She led that to get an entry-level job.
Catherine has no mergers, no acquisitions, no ideas.
She has dim sum parties. She has dim sum parties and weird perverts hitting on her.
All right.
In Bill's defense.
Yeah.
I agree.
Craig sees it.
I agree with Joanna and Amanda. However, in Bill's defense, Tess has been working for Catherine for like 48 hours. And like, sure, maybe Catherine wasn't the nicest. To just kind of immediately risk your entire career by kind of like taking her job is pretty bold as an assistant.
Yeah, and that's the point of the movie. Sigourney Weaver tells her, don't wait for your opportunities to come to you. You have to go after and get them.
And she says to Joan Cusack, like, I'm supposed to follow these rules that I didn't make up so that I can't, like, don't ever get what I want.
You rationalize it to yourself however you want.
Yeah.
Karate Kid, when they made the Cobra Kai and they were like, we're flipping this. Johnny Lawrence, maybe he was the victim and maybe Danielson.
Oh, so you're waiting for the
right.
Catherine Parker
show? I think you flip it around. It's like Catherine's life is not ruined from this assistant she had for 48 hours.
It is.
She's got a limp.
YouTube, if you're still making original TV content, call Sigourney Weaver.
The thing about Devil Wears Prada is that it does sort of understand your point, and that like the Anne Hathaway character
beaten down over time.
Yeah, but like, and she has that moment in the car of like, you did it to Emily. I was doing.
We talked about this on the pod. Anne Hathaway ultimately is the bad person in the movie.
Yes, exactly. That's true. But the movie knows that and is written that way. The Working Girl is not written for Tess to be that.
I think if Tess treated her new assistant at all remotely shabbily,
right,
then it's the Devil Wears Prada's thing where she's just like.
Cool. So
right, and
passing
also
down
we have
the trauma.
The last shot, which is still she doesn't get Catherine's office.
You're on the record. You support identity theft and man stealing. That's what we learned.
It's not identity theft stealing. She uses her own name, which is another thing that you could not do now.
You can't steal a man that
stole her guy.
Isn't hers. No,
they were dating.
She didn't know that though.
Yeah,
he was over it.
Yeah.
Devil Wears Prada. She's a much worse person.
Way worse. So annoying.
And
entitled.
And poor Vince from Entourage. Like, no, I made you a grilled cheese.
That guy sucks.
Hey. I put some extra mustard.
Jarlsberg.
Just because she sucks doesn't mean he doesn't suck, because he does.
He does, yeah.
I put some extra Jarlsberg in it. You light in a little mustard. What piece of memorabilia would you want or not want from this movie?
The Sigourney Warhols.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I want the dress. Like the dress that she wears. And I don't even think
it's
that
not
it would,
even leather.
Yeah, I don't even think it would suit me. I googled inflation. I think it would be $16,000 now because it's $6,000 in the movie. But it's the bunny.
What about the gorilla?
The bunny she brings to the office.
Yeah. For a minute, I thought we were talking about Fatal Attraction again, and I was like, no.
The gorilla.
Oh, that's a good one.
Catherine's gorilla.
I think
the gorilla,
answer,
like right there in the corner where Patrick Swayze used to be, would be funny.
Before he fell over. He hated this movie.
No, Swayze just hated your hot take.
What about the too tall Harrison Ford Luau wedding glasses with the straws? Movie used glasses.
Yeah, those are good.
Props. Just
Harrison
put those
Ford
on your
put his
kitchen.
lips
the umbrellas and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Coach Finstock Award for Best Life Lesson. You don't get anywhere in this world by waiting for what you want to come to you. You make it happen.
Yeah.
Even if you have to steal identity in somebody's man.
Yeah.
Check the milligrams. Live and learn.
Check the milligrams for Valium. Double feature choice.
Yeah.
What do you have for Working Girl?
Well, I have a triple feature. I think this, Baby Boom, and Broadcast News are like a very fun,
I have Baby Boom and
girls.
Broadcast News, but also Morning Glory.
Love Morning Glory. Oh my gosh.
Which is Rachel McAdams' Working Girl.
Right, Patrick Wilson.
His favorite.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
In the sort of,
You could talk me into Working Girl with Pretty Woman back to back.
Good.
1988,
Yeah.
1990.
Just so you can
works.
get mad at Gary
Double
Marshall for
Cinderella.
what he stole.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Double Cinderella,
Yeah.
and then you're watching Pretty Woman, seeing all the things they took.
Mhm. There's also Witness as just double hot Harrison Ford.
Well, I think that there's a Devil Wears Prada case as the
Yeah,
second one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because that steals, but way, way more subtly from some stuff. But just it's 88.
I
not
think if I were-
2006,
right.
two different eras.
If I were to pick from any of these great options, I
Mhm.
think my number one would be Baby Boom because it's not as seen. And if you could get people in the door for Working Girl and say, stay tuned
Right.
to watch Diane Keaton start a baby food empire, then
And Sam
you're
Shepard.
you're doing good work.
Sam Shepard in Baby Boom does not meet Harrison Ford in Working Girl, but like it's getting up there. He's just like in Vermont. and it's
Country
like, sure,
veterinarian, right?
Let me help you. It's
Is he
it's
the
powerful.
all-time number one? Every woman loves
Sam
somebody
Shepard.
guy.
I mean,
Sam
besides
Shepard.
Harrison Ford, yes, and they are like of a type.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Something
If
about
Sam
that
Shepard
dude.
were still with
Phil could
us,
talk
he
about
would
this
be in a
Yeah.
Taylor Sheridan
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
right
Yeah,
now.
he's
Yeah.
an all-timer.
Yeah.
Who won the movie?
Melanie Griffith.
I think it's Melanie Griffith. Roger Ebert, our guy, wrote, "This is Melanie Griffith's movie in the same way The Graduate belonged to Dustin Hoffman. She was not an obvious casting choice, but she's the right one." I agree with that.
I agree.
All right.
Amanda,
producer
how do you
Craig.
feel?
This is a delight.
No,
Yeah?
we got to get
Oh,
Craig's
right.
take.
Oh,
Craig,
yeah.
38 years ago, this movie came out, which means Craig was -7, -6,
38 years, -8.
-8. What do you got, Craig?
This movie single-handedly saved Liz's relationship with the Rewatchables.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah, we were in a rough run.
Yeah.
Death,
Death
Wish,
Wish,
did not go well.
Yeah.
It was a dark time after Death Wish. This really pulled her out of the mud. When this movie ended, she was like, best movie ever made. I believe was her exact quote.
Wow.
Great.
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
than Country Strong?
I think a little better, although she loves Gwyneth. But this is a wonderful rom-com. I like it because I feel like the rom-coms from back in the day are a little bit edgier.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
there's
Yeah.
just a little bit of unpredictability in these, a little bit of edge in these. And
Yeah.
even the rom-coms that have succeeded in the last like 10 or so years, or like, like Anyone But You, those just have a safeness to them, like a glossiness to them. And these have, no one's really bland. The characters are a little bit deeper. Like Harrison Ford's character being like a little bit questionable at times. I just like that the 80s and 90s kind of provide that in these rom-coms.
Agree.
I have a theory on this. Not to get all
Speak on it.
philosophical. There wasn't a lot going on in the 80s. You just kind of worked and then you went out and you
Mhm.
watched television and listened to music and went to sporting events. And
What do you mean?
we had nothing.
What do we
had,
do now?
We had no,
You had
Yeah.
MTV?
we had no
You had the
internet,
Cold
anything.
War?
People,
Right.
people were around each other all the time,
You didn't have devices.
being people.
You didn't have the internet
Okay.
as
Yeah, sure.
intensely. and you
Interacting
didn't
with
have-
other people was basically everything you had to do. What
You couldn't
else
go
were
down your
gonna sit at
phone.
home
Yeah.
and just
Right.
read a book, or you could just actually go
Like a
out where other
loser.
people were.
Yeah.
So, well, we all loved reading books. I mean, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like, so movies were able to tap into that in a way that I think the last 10 years of movies with social media, I think people
It's
have
just-
really,
It all happens on your phone.
I think they've found out,
Yeah.
even you see it in a lot, especially the later movies, they're really good now at showing people texting on phones. And they'll have
Right.
somebody with the phone and you'll see the text and
Mhm.
or they'll put the text on the screen and the texting. And I just don't think it's as good as just people being together.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. And
So Anyone But You is a good example of that because that movie was really successful and it was terrible.
It was really,
really
bad.
bad.
It's really bad. And guess what? My daughter watched it like 7 times and
Sure.
loved it. And I'm like, if that movie's winning over a movie like Working Girl, then that kind of tells
Right.
us where we are.
When do you think the last great rom-com was?
so I am not really even on board as late as 2005,
I
6.
agree.
So
Crazy
Let's-
Stupid Love doesn't do it?
No.
I'm sorry. And I have to tell you, I think forgetting Sarah Marshall is really important, and I appreciate
It's a comedy.
It's not
how
a
it
rom-com.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's about men. So Notting Hill is 99.
Yeah.
Bridget Jones' Diary is 2001.
Yeah. And You've Got Mail is
98.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah.
So
If my wife was here, she would throw out a lot like Love in 2004.
okay,
One of her
yeah, I
favorite
got
movies
back on
ever.
the Amanda
I'm-
Peet
Yeah.
beat. I would say,
is
yeah.
that the one where they sing Chicago to each other in the car ride? Like, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's powerful.
That movie's elite.
I
I've
think
made
it's
this case to
pre-2005. Pre-2005. Yeah.
because I have rewatched How to Lose a
I
Guy in
can't do
10
it.
Days recently, and sorry to the Knicks or whatever, but it has not aged as well.
No.
as you would like.
Oh,
Yeah.
not for my daughter. She loves that
Yeah,
movie.
no, I know. And that one, so that one in 27 Dresses are, I think, that like
27
signal
Dresses is a
for
good one.
a slightly later generation.
Yeah.
I
but
just think
we're
not
older. They're not. I agree with you.
delivering the way that like the 90s and the 80s.
I think
rom-coms
I
did.
think we kind of the genre. I don't want to say it died. It just shifted into this
It just-
2010s. This
it stopped
like
being
there's
as
you ever seen
smart.
this movie Drinking Buddies.
Yes.
It was on
Yeah.
on cable, but it was like those type of movies
Swanbergs,
where
right?
That's a mumblecore. Yeah.
yeah, like that mumblecore era combined with like the brain dead anyone but you type movies.
Right.
And we never.
We don't get the like Mike Nichols nor Ephron. Like this is smart
Right.
and a rom-com at the same
And
time. You know what I
Rewatchables
mean?
also, it is a romantic comedy, but there is also the professional plot line as well. And it's as much about like, is Tess going to get
Yeah, getting the
life
man
that she
is not
wants?
the
And
point.
And
Yeah,
the last shot and the last scene is not about Harrison Ford. It's about her and her dream.
And she calls Joan Cusack. She doesn't call Harrison Ford.
Well, you have this is a rom-com that has two of the best actors of the 80s.
Right.
With Melanie Griffith in a breakout
It doesn't
spot.
hurt.
And then one of the most famous directors of
Right.
this whole generation.
Right.
And now we
They used
do
to
not have
respect
things
romantic
like that.
comedies now.
I don't know. I just feel like we've done so many versions of the same idea that might be part of it too. Where you would still feel like people falling in love would be timeless, but
you
every
can
time you
do-
watch them, they're so self-aware to the movies that have already happened before them, they almost are afraid to be original.
But you can do iterations. Like I'm a big defender of You've Got Mail. I love that movie, and that's a remake that's a story that had already been made like 3 other times before it was made for the AOL era. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like,
but that movie has 2 massive stars in it.
well, yeah, but you can remake story premises again and again and again as long as you do it intelligently and have a good cast.
The
you
movie
know?
with Sudeikis and Alison Brie is good. When they're friends for a long time and then
Just Friends
I
or
forget that
something like
one.
that.
Yeah,
Like, whatever,
that
right?
one is
More
was
Than
early
Friends.
2010s.
I
I thought that was
like
good.
that one.
But I feel like by the time Amy and Paul Rudd made their rom-com, making fun of all the rom-coms, that was when we were kind of like all good with the genre.
Well, the other thing is that it's the movie star thing, right? Because you just identified that it's whether
Right.
it's Julia Roberts,
Yeah.
it's Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan,
Reese,
like
Sandra Bullock.
those are people who are already movie
Yeah.
stars and they're like early 30s, they're or late 20s. And we don't have movie stars like that anymore in the same way because of
I just feel like
superheroes or whatever.
I keep hearing like, oh, the rom-com is back when Set It Up.
Which I like that
the
movie.
Glenn
is
Powell
good.
movie.
Set Up
It's
was
good.
good.
Powell, yeah.
It's good. Nobody Wants This, which was a TV show, but a lot
Set
of
It
people
Up's
are
a
like,
good example.
you know,
That hit and was successful.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like a Netflix movie, and a Netflix movie doesn't feel as big as. Do you know what I mean?
And Glenn Powell
Yeah.
was not a star in the way that
Mhm.
that was like early 2018, right?
That's the thing is they
yeah.
become like lovable streaming hits.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They're not like
Or TV shows.
as
Yeah.
we're talking about Working Girl and Die Hard in the same conversation, and you wouldn't put a rom-com in the same conversation as a big epic event movie
The
anymore.
last duo we had was Gosling and Emma Stone.
I will say
Crazy Stupid.
with
Yeah.
the parts
You had
of
La La
Crazy
Land
Stupid
with
Love
them
that is
and-
just them, that's a
It's
good
great.
rom-com. But then there's a lot of other movies.
Yeah.
around
You know,
it.
it's so different than sports because in sports is constantly new and the athletes can change.
Right.
And rom-coms are competing against the ghosts of the iconic rom-coms that are just
Mhm.
better.
Yes.
And I don't know. You go back
I just
to
think that like in the 90s where there's a ton of great rom-coms, you could argue, oh, well, they're competing with the screwball comedies of the 1940s, which were, you know, you can't beat
Also
Katharine
great.
Hepburn, you can't beat it, but they are.
Yeah.
They are equally great. So I feel like you can keep doing it. We just don't value it anymore. We just consider that small ball sort of thing.
I think
you know?
Craig's point about that they used to be edgier is an important point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even
yeah.
like About Last Night, which I don't think gets enough credit for 80s, kind of paving the way for When Harry Met Sally and some of these other
Yeah.
ones. That's a pretty like
There's a lot
it's
of
an
sex.
R-rated
There's a lot
movie.
of
There's
sex in that.
sex.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Rob Lowe kind of goes nuts at one point.
Yeah.
and I just think that movie would be completely different. They remade it with Kevin Hart and Michael Ealy, and it's just like, all right.
Yeah,
fine.
Right.
But I do think it's a star power thing.
It's definitely
There's
part of
no-
it.
We never really replenished. We had this, you know, that every time like Sandra Bullock and Meg Ryan, and then it was like Next Generation. Here's Reese Witherspoon, and then Kate Hudson's going to make a bunch. We always had people to put in those, and it was always a Matthew McConaughey. And now it's basically
I
like Glenn Powell.
Well, I think it felt like a necessary piece of the star playbook
Yeah.
because you had to do your rom-com,
Exactly.
and I don't
Yeah.
think that's
Like Jennifer
the thing
Lawrence and
anymore.
Emma Stone would be wonderful in them if they could write if someone
Something worthy
committed
of
like
them,
the
yeah.
script, the money, and the release
Nobody wants to pay
them,
those
but they don't
stars.
want to do it. That's not their strategy. Emma
Yeah.
Stone is instead like winning multiple Oscars for art house movies.
But people used to do both, which is cool.
Yeah.
I would have rather she did that than that Nathan Fielder show. I would have rather she
Oh, yeah, I
she
didn't watch
remade
that.
Picture
Yeah.
Perfect. What do you say on Picture Perfect? That's another one where somebody's pretending
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
I need a date for a wedding, so here's my fiance, this
Right.
guy I just hired.
Yeah.
It's such a great era.
Yeah.
I think part
The
of it
wedding
is
date.
the
Oh,
rom-com
yeah.
premises were so crazy that they're too self-aware
They
now.
don't stand up to like any like ethics treatment.
Right.
That
So
we
maybe,
have today
maybe
in
we're,
Yeah.
2025.
we're too scared to be problematic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We should say
We
that
solved it.
in a week, there is a rom-com coming out starring Dakota Johnson with Celine Song as directing.
Well,
We saw it this
yeah,
week.
we saw
and
it.
I would not call it a
Yeah,
rom-com.
it's not a romantic comedy. They're trying
No.
to market it. as
They're
such.
mismarketing it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
It's in conversation.
But I wish it was.
With that's the part of it that I really liked.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, one of the most fun things about having a daughter was watching her hit all the rom-com tears with my wife,
Oh, yeah.
or sometimes by herself. But
Mhm.
I just think there's a timelessness to them, and it doesn't matter. Like I'm positive my daughter would like Working Girl.
Oh yeah.
When she got past the hair, she would definitely like it.
And
But-
it's also the way for her to learn about the 80s and the hair.
True.
You know, it is
And the
because
cocaine.
the format is recognizable. So then
And the
it's just
exercise
kind of like,
bikes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that's how I first learned about Wimbledon was the 2004 film Wimbledon starring Kirsten Dunst and
Paul Bettany
Yeah.
and James McAvoy.
Yeah. And now here we are.
Amanda, a true pleasure. Joanna, a true pleasure.
An honor.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting me witness this incredible moment in your career.
It feels so great to be back.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Producer
you.
Craig, always a pleasure. Who else do we have to thank?
Marcelino.
Thank you to him. I guess it's New York month because we've done 2 New York movies in a row. Might have to do 2 more. Only need 2 more for New York month.
Sounds great.
These were 2 good ones, though. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.